Africa, say it louder. Say it shouter. Salam alaikum, salam alaikum, salam alaikum, salam alaikum, salam alaikum, salam alaikum, salam alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
United we stand, divided we fall. All we need is freedom. All we need is freedom. Free Africans, free.
Free from slavery, free from slavery, free as a woman to slavery, free as a woman to slavery, free as a woman to slavery, free from slavery, free from slavery. Yeah.
We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war. We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war. We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war.
Salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum, salam alaikum, assalamu alaikum. African woman, if you wanna be free, the most simplest one in the world. Get yourself the better winner reggae music coming to you from the one of the most peaceful men. So many lying down on the streets, whatever they do, yeah, dancing at the ends. Get yourself the most free time and preach about freedom. Preach about freedom.
We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war. We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war. We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war.
On the street, there's a lesson, youth. Stop violence, there's a lesson. All right, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. This is Concerned Citizen of South Sudan going live on Saturday, April 10, 2021. Tonight, I have a very important discussion with you here. The concept of the state and the right of the citizen. Our guest speaker tonight is going to be General Biel Rambang, the first SPLA Affairs Director of Finance, the headquarters in Bilpam, Juba South Sudan. He's the currently chairman of South Sudanese political alliances. So now we will have our guests momentarily here join us in the studio to start our discussion tonight. I welcome all of you all over the world, in East Africa, in North Africa, in Australia, in Canada, in the United States here as well. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being part of Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. And also in a new development, we will be doing some analysis on the new presidential decree in Juba. A moment ago, we heard some presidential decree actually in J1. That's something that we will put under consideration, and we will start with that. So, زي ما قلنا وعودناكم دائما نحن بنجي بجديد and more discussion in that regard. قرارات جمهورية تحز أجواء جوبا اليوم. لا ندري ماذا يحدث هنالك، وأيضا قد يكون نقول ممكن انتصار معسكر كولكور the Director General of National Security، انتصار معسكره على معسكر الذين يريدون تغيير من الداخل, which is الحضنة السياسية, political incubator, the Gen Council of Elders, and those who wanted to do political change within the country. It looked like a call intasar alom by President Kiir moving Nyal Deng Nyal, and I see that da mumkin nawsifu be something unexpected from them for this new political changes within J1. Namal Mao analysis in that regard, but first let me go ahead and welcome my guest to the studio so we can start discussion on that regard as well. هنا سماء مجهول في جوبا بعد القرارات الجمهورية اللي شفناها قبل شوية من قبل J1. So let me go ahead and bring my guest in the studio, General Biel Rambang, the first Finance Director of the SPLA in Bilpam. He was one of the general in the SPLM liberation struggle. Many of you knows him, and many of you do not know him as well. We welcome him in our show, in our humble concerned citizen of South Sudan show tonight. And he's currently a chairman of political alliances, group of alliances, South Sudanese political alliances. So we welcome him عشان نناقش مفهوم الدولة وحقوق المواطنين. الكثير نرى انه في بلادنا المواطن الجنوب السوداني لا يعرف حقه في الوطن. كثيرين ما بيعرف حقوقهم. That's why we came out with this very important topic tonight, the concept of the state and the right of the citizen. General Biel Rambang, welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. أنا بديك الفرصة عشان to greet our viewers, and you may speak English or Arabic, no problem. And I want to also remind our viewers that we agree to disagree. That's the usual in our discussion here all the time. We do not condone any insults whatsoever. No insult, no foul languages, derogatory or vicious attack. And this very humble forum. So, General, welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. I want to give you a few minutes to go ahead and greet our audience. Itfaddal. You may speak Arabic or English. Itfaddal.
Thank you, Jonkor. It is my honor to be able to express my own concern, sharing my view with other Southern Sudanese who are concerned of situation in their country. If you come to the government and citizen, of course, government is the highest form of human evolution. It actually is done to serve the people. It's a vehicle that can deliver service to the people or take people where they can be served. That is the mufhum of our government. When the Europeans succeeded in inventing the government and they use it for their own welfare, they become stronger. When they export it to other side, to our side world, they didn't actually export the same form of government that they have. So they brought us what you call a Machiavellian style of governing. By fear, where the government is become something stronger, intimidate people, and loot people. That what even brought the American to be independent, because they were claiming of what you call taxation without representation. The government asks duty from people, but no services back to the people. So Southern Sudan, like any other country, like any other post-colonial government that had been hijacked by a group of elites, turn it to their own benefit, then actually the government lost the meaning of it. It become tool of oppressor to the weak. So that is our problem in Africa, because when we rise against the colonialism, people were using color. The white man is oppressing us. So it was very easy to mobilize our own population because they are seeing the white man color. After the white man left, the same elite don't know what they were doing, so they have adapted the colonial system, which is worse than the white man himself, because the white man is not a problem, but the system was the problem itself. So mistakenly, they adopt the same oppressing system that oppressed them. So they use it against their own people. Like now they were just a replacement of the white oppressor with the black oppressor. Now it becomes complicated because when you fail to deliver services, when people complain against you, then you said, now is that ethnicity or that tribe coming to take our own power, and then other people is staying with you, even if they are not getting services from you. That is a problem, a general problem in Africa and the third world. So this one has affected the SPLA in Southern Sudan.
In South Sudan, yes.
In South Sudan. So because they think that SPLA own the country and own the people of South Sudan. And they said the other way, that people of South Sudan own the SPLA. There can be no SPLA, but there can be South Sudan. But that it is quite impossible without Southern Sudan. There will be no SPLA. That understanding is not there with our elites. That's what is facing us. Our people did not get the services after liberation because they were told that we are being oppressed by Northern Sudanese, and if we manage to keep them away, we will serve ourselves. 17 years now since we shoulder our own responsibility when we have our own budget to deal with our priorities, to deliver badly needed services to our people. The SPLM did not do that. Then at the end, people lost hope that the euphoria that we are going to get improvement after the independence, it was not there. So what they do, after they loot the country, they turn to intimidation, human rights abuses, to oppress people like the former oppressor. When they loot the country, they deprive us our own services. They bought palaces outside. They make companies. They go to hospital in America, in London, South Africa, in India. Instead of bringing that doctor home, because the same money that we have in South Sudan can bring the doctor from America to South Sudan. From London, the money can bring the teacher. But no, they take it that it is their own payback period. If you ask payback period for how many people and then for how long, you get yourself somewhere else. The main problem with the government in Africa that we miss the government, and our people refuse to accept that something is wrong because they have intolerant attitude to other viewpoint. Unless you say Seattle wala kida yaude chokol bimchi kois lakin kan tebuto lakin yamulo kida itazol ma kois.
Yes.
So our people, they were blindfolded by the oppressor that when you elect your headman, executive chief, and your sub chief, your level of government is done. So the rest belong to the government. So our people put in their mind that government has to come somewhere else. It is not extension. They fail to realize that it is extension of the same one. If you cannot make yourself a headman, and he cannot make himself a sub chief, and he cannot make himself executive chief, then you cannot make yourself a commissioner. You need somebody to make you a commissioner, like people who made them to be what they are. They fail to realize that one. And then our people utilize this one. They utilize this one because people don't know their right. As there is no right citizen without good government. Then no good government without checks and balance. Today, our MPs are being elected, are being nominated, or are being appointed by the executive branch.
Now, General Biel, before we get there, I want you to set it forward to our viewers. What is the role of government? What is obligation of government toward the citizen? And then I'm going to ask you after that also, what are the rights of the citizen? So I want you to explain to our viewers what government can do. What is the obligation of the government toward its citizens?
The government can give you security.
And actually you can mix it, you can do it in Arabic. You are highly welcome to speak any language that is comfortable with our viewers.
الحكومة طبعا هو بديك security.
الأمن.
أمن كمواطن.
ده مسؤولية.
بدوق الأمن ده مسؤولية بتاع government. هو بيجيبه من وين ولا يجيبه من وين، أنت لازم تكون مؤمن. في بيتك يالك يكون مؤمنين، property بتاعك يكون مؤمنين. بعد كده يديك facilities. Government will provide food, education, health, communication, transportation. Because the money that they are using, it is your money for your services. They are just custodian to provide all these services to you. This is the obligation of the government. The government that is not doing that is not a government, something else. It doesn't supposed to be there. Government jai to serve people. The khadam bitanas. Is a vehicle that can bring service to the people or take people to where the people will be served. They are the government. The mufhum tawa yawde. My individual power, my individual enrichment. يعني زول بس على قته منو والله عنده بوديك محل ما بيعرف. ده محل ما بيعرف ده وين؟ نعم. ما محل ما بيعرف، أنا بيعرف أي محل. قانون يا بوديني. Because we have agreed as a human being that we organize ourselves, we consolidate our effort for our welfare. Right of citizen, it is that the constitution that will govern them. Ma bejibun bin hawa. Ma the European cultures between tradition between you improve my technology, and they transform it to be a government. Even that tribe, but they
so حق بتاع المواطن البسيط شنو؟ الحق بتاع المواطن، لأن الجنوبيين سودانيين يعني في وجه نظري كثيرين ما بيعرف حقوق بتاعهم، زي ما أنت قلت قبل بيشوف الحكومة دي حاجة بس للناس ديلك، ده حقهم. لكن أنا داير مثلا عشان أنت تشرح للمواطن البسيط السوداني الجنوبي حق بتاعه شنو من الحكومة.
حق بتاعه ما في حاجة هو ما دايره حكومة بيعمله لمنو؟ أي حاجة بيعملهم حكومة ده مواطن ياو داير حاجة ده. الكونستيتيوشن تاع مواطن إنه الجفرمنت الباور هو بلقاو ده ما بلقاو براو. ده ناس ياو بديلو. وناس بيعرفوا قال السيرفيسز البديلهم ده ياس في أعداد بتاعنا. أي زول بيعرف حق بتاعه في قبيلة بتاعه. وأي زول بيعرف مسؤولية بتاعه. يعني كان ناجي جا لقبيلة بتاعك أنت بمشي ولا لكوميونتي بتاعك أنت بمشي كلا ما مشكلة بتاعك بمشي بقتله. ده responsibility ده مسؤولية بتاعك. لكن كان فاجئ كمان جالك. come on defense. الناس بيجي بموتوا عشان سبب بتاعك. كان أنت غلطان ولا ما غلطان أنت بيجي مشكلة للناس. سو أنا بقول إن المواطن ده الناس اللي بيخدموا هو يعملون باور ده ويقدر باور عشان يشيلوا ده ما هم يشيلوا السلطان بتاعهم. ده أنا دارين نكسر الحاجز ده. إن المحافظ ده زي السلطان بتاعك ده سلاطين 15 سلطان ياو بيعملون محافظ. 10 محافظ بيجيب جفرنر. 10 جفرنرز ياو بيجيب بريزيدنت. هم بيشيلوا بريزيدنت بيشيلوا محافظ بيشيلوا جفرنر بنفسه طريقه اللي بيجيبوا بو. هم بقدر بيشيلوا السلطان بتاعهم هم قبلانين يا هم بقدر بيشيلوا سلطان لكن ما بقدر بيشيلوا برا محافظ. ليه؟ محافظ جا من وين؟ ما ده واحد منهم. فانا قلت الناس بتاعنا كانوا ما بيعرفوا حقوق بتاعهم ودروهم والناس بتاعنا ما دارين يقولوا حقوق بتاعهم عشان دارين ياكلوا they exploit them. So حق بتاع المواطن إنه يعرف إنه قال حاجات الحكومة إنه ده ما جات الحكومة ده حاجات بتوعهم. يعني هسه أنت كان مكيل ربي جيس كم أنت مكيل تقول للمواطن هذا الزول ساكت بس أنت كم ديفندنت قال أنت كم سنفر كان أنت تعيين بدو كم بدونه كده طيب بس كان كم بوز كم كوردينيتور كان جاب تعيين ده كتاو في بيته ما داري يقسم ولا ما داري يجي جات الديفندنت بتاعك ده إلا تمشي تشهده بيحصل شنو؟ من بقول قال بمشي بشكل ولا كم كوردينيتور طيب أنت ما بشكل وناس زي اللي ما جات أنا في نيكر اللي جابوا مع ساوث السودان ده جات تاكل نفس التعيين تاع UN ده بيجيبوا بس ما بتاكل ربنا provide everything كلامه هنا ده they provide you ربنا provide you with all the services اللي إنه حكومة ده بتاع حكومة ما ينفع جات تاو برا بيجيبوا وين ما ده ولا بتاع هنا ده ولا بتاع ده يكون إنه حكومة وين بدونك ما ده يهوده so أنا الشغل تاعنا ما كتير عشان فاونديشن ما بزول بيعمل نفس السلطان في أعداد بتاعنا بيعملوا طيب كلام ما يعملوا محافظ لا أنا شنو إن الناس دي نيو كاستمر لو أنت بعرف كان عملت جريمة كان قتلت زول كان كيلت مرة زول كان جريت مع بيت زول الغرامة بتاعك ده معروف سلطان داير ولا ما داير ما بزيدوا وما بنقصوا
لأن في هذا ما متفقين عليه
أيوة ما ده قانون كمان القانون ده يقول it can be extended to the higher level of the government ما the government براو والناس براو ده دارين ودي في راس بتاع الناس بتاعنا.
اوكي جنرال بيل خلينا في زاد السياق. ناو انت شرحت على انه نظامنا كاستمر سيستم في القبائل ولا دينكا ولا زاندي ولا نوير ولا كده السلطان بيلقى باور من الشعب من المواطن من الناس اللي قاعدين معه ده الناس اللي بدين باور. شغل بتاع السلطان انه يفصل بين القضايا to regulate the community بيعمل regulation للكوميونتي. لو في زول عمل غلط زي ما انت قلت قبل شال مرة زول شال بيت زول قتل زول سرق حاجه زول ولا كده ده القضايا السلطان بيناقشه والسلطان ما بيعمل حاجه من راسه. في حاجات ناس بيتفق عليه ناس بيجي بيقعد في محكمه وبيقرر انت يا اخي عملت غلط كذا كذا كذا. سلطان كان بيلقى باور من الناس اوكي based on that سلطان كمان بيساعده لان الناس بيتبرعوا للسلطان يعني ده يودوا لي لكوار يودوا لي بن you know بزرع ولا غنم ولا whatever you know. now احنا بقينا الدوله لاننا كنا في our own confinement as a tribe in South Sudan زي ما انت قلت كله قبيله كان عنده customary law بتاعه قاعدين فيه بيقتنعوا بالسلطان وكده. now we become a country مفهوم الدوله different عن مفهوم بتاع confinement tribe. الفرق شنو؟ لان الناس بتاعنا الان ما عارفين انه نحن يوم ده كنا بس عندنا ولاء للسلطان والسلطان ولما نقول لك جيب كده انت بتجيب كده والسلطان بيفصل بالقضايا. حكومه الان الدوله عندها مسؤوليات toward المواطن يعني ما بقى زي النظام بتاعنا الكونفاينمنت زمان هنا قاعدين كقبائل وكوميونتي كده برا كده. لكن هنا بقينا دوله عندنا دوله منظمه عندنا نظام مفهوم الدوله انه تديليفر ذا سيرفيسز. كلامنا تقدر تفهم لمواطن الجنوب السوداني شنو انه في تحول مما كنت ترايب كنت في كونفاينمنت انه في حكومه كبيره مسؤوله بكم نواحي القانونيه نواحي الامنيه نواحي الاقتصاديه وكذا. تفهم الكلام ده لمواطن جنوب سوداني نويراوي دينكاوي زانداوي بارياوي عشان يقدر يفهم يعرف حق بتاعه كيف انه ده ما نظام بتاع السلطنه ان مور دي نظام اسمه دوله. تفهموا كيف يا جنرال؟
ما انا فاهم انه قال الناس بتاعنا هسه ده القاعدين بباور ده they use that قبليه عشان to protect themselves to loot the same مواطنين ذاته مش ده هسه مباراه رئيس بارت في بور عنده خمسه tribes they speak different languages وده ما كونغور وده ما دوب اللي هو كاونتي بتاع دينكا ده عاصمه بتاع جونغولي ستيت وكلهم فوق برثان دينكا ولما دار يديهم هديه قال لهم برثان دينكا وسالم قال يدلي منو اتعزل بدنا بساعدوا الناس ما بساعدوا الناس ده سبب ذاته اللي جاب لنا مشكله. المفهوم ده يا غلط يا الناس بتاعنا هسه بيقولوا ممكن ناس دينكا بيقول والله بني كيكو نيار بني ده اني وو no killing you where يا اخي he's killing you. كان ما بنكونوا government كان ما بكون government هنكون شنو؟ هنرجع قبائل. We lost 4 million lives since 1955. لقاري يوم الليل ده 4 million lives مات. 74 years of struggle since 1947. The first conspiracy. اللي هو abolish كله district policy عملوا for welfare بتاعنا. 74 years عشان عملوا تحول من القبائل لحكومة. وصل فكير ده كان رئيس بتاعنا ده بتاع جراسروت بياكل مع المواطنين يوم داخل ماشي غابه ده وفات بالنوير فاسبول ما ماشي بلد ما باي بلد ثاني لما قاعد في غابه ما قاعد يكلم زي ده. طيب انت لما كان ريفل انت كان زول كده عندك مسؤوليه وانت بيعرف قالت مسؤول وده توعد ناس بتاعك عشان يكونوا ناس قويين. لما تكون رئيس ما ده مشكله دارين تشين في الكلام ده عشان الناس اللي بيجي بيقول للناس كلام صح. That age before. They refuse. Woman can high command for 21 years, 17 years now for government. Total of how many years? 40 something years. Or 40 years, almost 40 years. Ma kalas. They people haya kalas, they do culture betano they how haya had zoli mood for and ma fi altabanin del. They as a country sal another time dagal fi border. Come there as fi Kakuma. كم دقة في دارفور كم دقة في يوغندا ما ده يعود بيجي مشكلة إنه قال أنت بحب ناس بتاعك وترى أنت you are killing them. أنا إننا مسؤولية ماشيين الدنيا كله نحن شفنا قبل من ده شنو وده الفورم ده أنا بشكره إنه بيجيب ناس عشان نلموا وراء كلام في البلد ده ما ده ربنا ده ناس وده ناس منو ده نحن ده نحن منتظرين منو ما منتظرين يزور. طيب معلومة نعمله هسه ده واضح إنه قال ما في كويس هيطلع من ده. أنا بقول إنه قال مواطن بتاعنا دايرين يعلموه دايرين يقولوا ما كلام كتير. كل سلطان في بلد أي زول أنت مع سلطان فلان وسلطان فلان ما عنده باور عشان يكون أكبر منكم ما تمشي له يا أخي ما عنده باور اللي قاعد وين. أنا دايرين شيء عشان يكون في سلام عشان يكون في أمن. أنت ما ممكن تقول أساسا يعني قاعد
بيل عشان مواطن يفهم change. أنت ده تقول شنو عشان مواطن لا في ناس ما عشان change ده يجي ما هو لا نحن لازم نفهم الناس ديل إنه change ده يرنو عشان 1 2 3 4 عشان حقك كده وحقك كده اللي أنت بتقوله له ده عشان يعرف حقه حقوق بتاعهم ده شنو عشان لأنه حقوق بتاعهم ده ما عارفينه.
أوكي أنا بقول هذا أنا نويراو أنا بقول هذا جنت عليه ما كده وين بقول في لندن. اوكي ريما تشارلز كان دوغا يان قاعدين في وين وقاعدين في لندن.
يس
جنب تاع ماشي مدرسه وين ماشي مدرسه في لندن.
يس
اوكي وجنب بتاعك هي ودا قاعد هنا بيشرب مويه من وين بيشرب من خور هنا
من خور
اكل وين ما معروف قال وبلقى اكل ولا ما في اكل. وريك ما كان بيقولوا له في لندن ده وقاعد يلقى وين في بيت الزواج في لندن. لا ما ده جروج بتاعنا ليه هو مستشفى في لندن ده معلوم بجروج له ماشي بو ده معلوم ما يجيبوا دكتور راك ده بجروج ده يجيبوا لنا هنا مدرسه ده يجيبوا هنا جانب بتاعك يمشي مدرسه وجانب بتاعه يمشي مدرسه. ده الجانب بتاعك انت راسه ده he has taken advantage of you. الجانب بتاعه يكون زيه والجانب بتاعك يكون زيك والجانب بتاعك ده هي بتاعك ده ربنا يا قال نو ما دارين مساواة كلا جاده كلا يكون لنا ما تمشي مساجد في لندن جروج ده منو بديك انت لقيته وين انا ما لين ما عندي جروج.
يس
ليه ده كلام بسيط ما كلام كتير عشان الناس بتاعنا يوم ده هم طبعا غرقوا في قبليه وناس بيشوفوا قال ده بتاعنا بتاع نوير ودارين يشوفوا اكون دنكا بتاع دنكا في كاكوما في بلد اسمه يوغندا في دارفور النوير كله شتدوا ليه ما شعر قالوا عنده مشكله مع كير قال عشان كير قتل نوير هذا هو وينه قال ياكل مع كير بتاعه ده طيب المشكله بتاعنا شنو كان ده يا سبب مشكله. اذا
نفهم الرساله بتاعك انت ده توصل لهم ده تقول لهم الناس زي الحكومه بيشيل يال بتاعهم برا لكن انت يو ديزيرف انه يكون في مدرسه هنا يكون في مدرسه في فنجاك يكون في مدرسه في كواجوك يكون في مدرسه في اول يكون في مستشفى يكون في شارع يكون في حاجات ده كله لان حاجات ده اصلا ما في يعني ده الكلام انت ده تقول انه هنا ده الحقوق اللي احنا دايرين المواطنين يعرفوا، وده من حقهم انه يستمتعوا بالحقوق ده. انستيد انه بترول بيو ويلا ناس كواردل وناس بنجي او بشيل يمشي يتعالجوا بو برا ويلا يتعالجوا برا. ده الرساله انت ده ترسله لمواطن الجنوب السوداني البسيط انه يفهم انه حقوقه مسلوبه. رايت؟ ده الرساله ده. اشكرك كل الشكر. جنرال بيل، انا ما عرفت لو كان شفت تلفزيون اليوم ولا ما شفت التلفزيون اليوم. في قرارات جديده في جوبا، في تحول جديد. انا ده تعليقك على الكلام ده. المعروف انه في كان معسكرات، ونحن تكلمنا هنا في الفورم ده عن بوليتيكال جروبينج في جوبا. في جروب كده، في جين كونسل اوف إلدرز، في جروب بتاع الناس اتا كولكورن جروب، وفي جروبات في جوبا. الان زي ما انا قلت قبل في مقدمه البرنامج انه اكولكور انتصر على الحاضنه السياسيه، على political incubator which is جين كونسل اوف إلدرز and others. في انتصار. تعليقك شنو على الكلام ده؟ لانه بدليل على انه رئيس كير عمل ديكري، وفي ناس كانت بتتكلم تحت المره اللي فاتت او وين تتكلم مني يا اخي. رئيس كير لازم يمشي ونيال يجي يصلي الوضع بتاعهم. اليوم كير عمل قرار جمهوري وشال نيال برا. تعليقك على النقطه دي شنو قبل ما انا خليك تمشي؟
يا انا طبعا انا ما بيعرف قال اقول ده، بقول قال اقول يوم ده عنده كام بتاعه عندي شنو بتاعه. انا ما كان بالضبط، انا ما كان بيعرف.
نعم.
هو ده كلام صح ولا ما صح؟ anyway هسه ده لخبطه بتاع نمير لما هو كان طول في السلطه. انت بعرف هو كان جاي شوي.
نعم.
بعد شوي بيجوا ضعفاء وبيجوا اخوان مسلمين ديل، بيجوا الناس عندهم باور شوي كده، وهو خلوا ديل وماشي ديل يعني بمسك من ده لده عشان هو to stay longer. So الفاونديشن اللي جابوا اول انه قال يكودوا نيال القاعد مع رئيس زي يكودوا بدل الرئيس. بس ده باك فايل لنيال. انا ما اعرف اول ده يعمل شنو. ده السؤال هذا. اول ده يعمل شنو في الكلام ده؟ ما كل القال يمدا قال لنا فشلنا. ويا رئيس ناس يعني دي فشلوا وهو ما فشل، وجاب له ناس يعني هو هم يتنقلوا قال ما نازل ما فشلوا معه. So that يقول أنا God knows.
ما تمشوا، أنا بجيبكم يا أستاذ عبد الله قرن وأستاذ دين، أنا بجيبكم خليكم قاعدين بس معي في الاستوديو.
So أنا ما بيعرف إنه قال اللي بيحصل في الكلام ده شنو، أنا ما بيعرف بالضبط. بس أنا سمعت الكلام بتاع أنكل ألدو أجيو اللي هو بيقول إنه قال بلده هو ماشي. ده الكونسيرن ناس ده. لا ناس ده ريب في سايد بتاعه. بيجوا فقط كنترول بتاع الجيش بتاعه. ده مواطن ياو بيجوا في باور. مواطن ده ما ممكن يجيب تغيير بو. أنا ما عندهم ما مدربين ما منظمين ما ده نظام. أوكي بيكون ungoverning part of Southern Sudan. رئيس ده بيجوا عنده مشكلة مع جان كونسل أوف إلدرز. أنا ما أعرف داري يعمل سبعة ممكن يلقى من هنا شوية اللي عنده داك لوياليز ده وباقين ده من هنا ده you want to create another platform عشان يقعد كتير. So the concern بتاع إنه قال الجنوب داري يمشي. This is the way of our leaders working hard عشان الجنوب يمشي. وما بدون له قال لنا بيجي وراهم من قال جيب قروش وما بدون له UN. أنا متأكد بلد يودي له جلابة.
أيوة.
Instead of being decisive يعمل قرارات في حاجات المفروض يقعد مع الناس ديل يفهم grievances بتوعه لغاية وين. خلاص if they disagree هو خلاص يعمل كلام له ده. لكن الدايرين attitude ده انت ده كرب حاجه ده ان شاء الله يمشي بار ده انت ما فاضي. دل لأن هذا الوضع ده له reconciliation ما ده له hardship like الكلام اللي هو عمله ده. أنا بشوف ده جزء من إنه قال الجنوب يمشي ما ده يمشي فوقه عشان قال هو بلغبط الجنوب ده وبجده ومال بيجيد عشان يكون صعب لأي زول اللي هو دايره. ده جزء من attitude. لأن مشاكل كتير. We don't need more division. We're supposed to be reconciling them.
Reconciling, yes, absolutely.
I believe this is the same thing that they don't want South Sudan. They want it to go.
اوكي well انا جنرال بيل رومبانج، انا بشكرك كل الشكر. انا دايرك اوجه كلمه اخيره قبل ما انا نخليك تمشي، كلمه اخيره لمواطن الجنوب السوداني and the way forward، نحن نطلع كيف من المأزق البلد بتاعنا فيه ده كله قبل ما نخليك تمشي. رسالتك الاخيره فيها مضمون بتاع what is the way forward لجنوب السودان، خارطه سياسيه اللي بيكون. تفضل.
انا بقول لجنوب السودان sacrifice هم عملوه في 74 years. انا ذكرته ده هم دفعوا يالهم، دفعوا امن بتوعهم، دفعوا اي حاجه عشان بلد ده يكون بلد ومن يعيش فوق بامان.
نعم.
ويكون ناس قويين ما ناس مقسم دي ما ماتوا سوا. اليوم الكبير اللي حصل في 2011 والناس بتاعنا صوتوا 98%. بين ناس اللي قاعد في قابل بيل ماتوا ديل they feel very proud انه قال كلام اللي قاعد يعمل فوق ده ما سيلفيش، ده كان national interest. ناس بتوعهم تعرفوا عارفين بكل disappointment ده there is nothing too late. هم لازم يقفوا سوا، يقفوا كناس واحد. الناس اللي لقوا قروشهم ورسلوا عيالهم في لندن وباعوا بيوت في لندن وباعوا بيوت في امريكا يمشي مع بيوتهم. المساكين اللي ابواتهم قتلوه، النسوان الارمله، المكسرين، ما نازل ما عنده زول تكير بدم.
نعم.
عشان هم يلقى هوا. الناس بتاعنا يجيبوا سوا عشان يرجعوا بلد. انت لما تقعد في خرطوم مره بتاعك يمشي يشتغل في بيت جلابه. انا هسه انت مره بتاعك هذا شال ماشي انه هم جلابه انت بيقولوا كارسلته قال امشي وعندك بلد ويالك. انا قلت انه الناس دي عشان نرجعوا بلد ما ممكن يصير بلد لنفرين. بلد ما ممكن يصير لنفرين ولا ثلاثه نفر. بنقول للجنوبيين انه قال يوم ده قالوا دينكا ده حكومه بتاعهم، نوير قال دارين حكومه دي ما شاتام. هسه ما يوده ترى ده الناس دارين انفسهم ودارين يقولوا دينكا ودارين يقولوا نوير.
نعم.
الناس يقوموا فوق يعرفوا قال يعلم they deserve services. المرهومين بتوعهم يعلم الفضل ورا ده هسه دي جاي الشعب هسه بيقوا ماشي يقطع في كشف في غابه. طيب حقوق الماده منو بيقطع لياله كشف؟ وزول اللي كسروه ما بقدر بيمشي غابه عشان يطلع لنفسه. They are the people reduce themselves to this after all this.
Correct.
ما ده challenge ده هسه ده دارين ده شغل ما شغل كتير. انا بشوف لقاعد هو كده مواطنين ذاتهم هم الشعب بانفسهم. ما بكون قوي. سو انا بقول للجنوبيين انه يا جماعه ده شيء ما علينا، ده فضيه بالنسبه لنا.
نعم.
انه نكسر الناس بطريقه اللي هنا كسرنا بهم ده and then we fail to sit together. هسه ده نرجع كل اللي يرجع في البلد بتاعه عشان يجي يعمل شنو؟ انا بقول انه جنوبيين يسمعوا الكلام ده يجيبوا سوا. مشكله بتاعنا ما عنده علاقه بريجن، ما عنده علاقه بقبيله. ده مش governance من فئه معين.
نعم.
فئه معين ده هم نخليه يفوتوا. قروج هم اللي ده زي الناس بتاعنا المات ده هم نخليه يمشي يسيبوا. لكن بلد ده خليه يدون له. ده مصير بتاعي.
Well, General Biel Rambang, I really appreciate you. أنا أشكرك كل الشكر لجيك بتاعك اليوم. رسالة قوية جدا ورسالة عندها مضمون. أنا بشكرك وإن شاء الله ده ما يكون آخر مرة أنت تظهر في فورم بتاعنا كونسان سيدنا South Sudan. نتمنى إنه في المرات القادمة إن شاء الله تكون موجود ويكون لك contribution كبير زي ما أنا قلت قبل لمشاهديننا. General Biel Rambang is the chairman of South Sudanese political alliances, which is alliances of 7 political parties, actually, who are director of finance in the headquarters, Bilpam, Juba, South Sudan. He left South Sudan, of course, prior to crisis of 2013. That's before that, طبعا, like as I said. So أنا بشكرك كل الشكر وإن شاء الله نشوفك المرات القادمة عندنا هنا برضو ونواصل. شكرا جزيلا. شكرا. And with that, I would like to welcome my dear brother Abdullah Garang and also Ustaz Dingmo to the studio so we can continue وزاد عبد الله قرن رحب بك، رحب استاذ دين في استوديو كنسان سيرنا في ساوث السودان. اولا زي ما انا ذكرت قبل، العنوان بتاعنا الان مفهوم الدوله which is the concept of state and the right of the citizen. مفهوم الدوله وحقوق المواطن. ولكن قبل ما نحن نمشي هناك في التوبيك بتاع اليوم، وانا وضحت هناك انه also we are going to do analysis. عندنا تحليل thrill about the new changes, political decrees, presidential decrees that we have witnessed 1 hour ago coming out of J1. أنا ده تعليقاتكم زي ما أنا قلت قبل، إنه أكولكور ينتصر على معسكر الذين يريدون التغيير من الداخل. أكولكور ينتصر على جين كانز بيلدس، انتصر على مجموعة تغيير من الداخل بريموفينج. يستطيع إنه كير يبقى يشيل نيال دين نيال، لأنه كير طبعا كان بيسمعوا من ويناكوت، وهذا يعتبر انذار لويناكوت ولكل منيان. ويناكوت كان قال يا اخي احنا دايرين تمشي يا اخي يا سيد الرئيس، ونيال يجي عشان يصلح الوضع بتاعنا من المجتمع الدولي. كما قال حجاج بن يوسف: اني ارى رؤوس قد عينات وهان قطافها واني لقطافها. فيبدو انه الرئيس الفكير في الوقت ده، وانا ذكرت الكلام ده في مرات كثيره، لا يرقب في التنهي، انما يرقب في استمراريه في الحكم حتى الموت. وده دليل لانه نيال دينيال كان بيقولوا يا اخي انه يجي ويمسك عشان يصلح الوضع، لكن عشان هو كان بيسمع هذه الاصوات اعطاها بنيال دينيال. انا ده تعليقكم يا اخوه من هذا الجانب قبل ما نخش شنو في التوبيك بتاعنا اليوم. استاذ عبد الله قرن، انا بديك the first chance and then I will go with my dear brother دينغ. تفضل استاذ عبد الله قرن.
شكرا برادر جونكو. تسمعني كويس؟
سامعك واضح جدا جدا.
اوكي. طبعا الليله نحن طبعا في صباح هنا في يارول عندنا.
نعم.
اصبحنا وبعد شويه كالعاده سمينا قرارات رئاسه الجمهوريه ديجري. وكالعاده طبعا لما تشوف البنت اللي بتقدم البرنامج، انا ما اعرف اسمها منو، لما تشوفها في استديو معناته في ديجري. انت وزير معناته لازم تعمل حسابك.
جوي سامسونج.
يس. انا عشان في ناس كثير طبعا احتمال ما سمعوا الخبر، خلينا انا اقوله هنا بسرعه. طبعا الرئيس اقال وزير رئاسه الجمهوريه، او الاصل هو وزير مكتب الرئيس نيال دينيال، وجاب بدله الاستاذ او السفير وزير وزير الخارجيه الاسبق ورئيس المفاوضات برنامج مريال بنجامين. الرئيس برضو شال جي هو رئيس الاركان، وجاب بدله سانتينو دينغول رئيسا للاركان. والرئيس اقال ملك روبن هو نائب رئيس وزير الدفاع والتعيين شولتون نائب وزيرا للدفاع. وعينهم بعض السفراء. توماس دوس سايمون عملوه سفير في الكويت، جي سفير في بلجيوم، وملك روبن عينوه سفير جنوب السودان في إريتريا. لكن الحاجة المفاجئة في كل هذه القرارات هو نيال دينيال. طبعا دبام كبير بالمناسبة ولخبط الحسابات، و it is very very difficult to predict what is going in South Sudan exactly. مثل هذه القرارات بتثبت لك انه مثلا ما في برنامج ثابت في جنوب السودان. يس، الرئيس طبعا هو الرئيس في النهايه، له حق انه يعين من يعين، لكن في الفترات الاخيره اسم بتاع نيال لمع على اساس انه حيكون خليفه بتاع السيد الامير او السيد الحاكم او السيد الرئيس. في طبعا المعسكر اللي كان بعملوا سبورت هو ده المعسكر مثلا بتاع جين كونسل اوف إلدرز، على اساس انه نيال حيخلف الرئيس في اي حال من الاحوال. لكن الليله تفاجأنا بان الامير هو الخليفه is out. ده خبر عجيب جدا. What is going on in South Sudan? We don't know. طيب إذا نيال هو الليلة طلع برا التشكيلة. أنا مثل هذه القرارات قد تكون مشابهة للقرارات اللي حصلت في و19 شهر 2 لما الرئيس عمر حسن احمد البشير قام اقال الولاء وعين بدلهم عنهم ولاء عسكريين في 14 فبراير او 12 فبراير، والدوله ما استقرها بعدها الى ان سقطت. برضه إقالة نيال دين نيال ده إقالة بتاع معسكر كبير جدا، فيها including فيها الصف بتاع الناس أو ناكوت، في صف بتاع الناس كولمنيال أو أغلبية بتاع جين كانسل. الآن they are locked out completely. كويس؟ المعسكر الصاعد هو المعسكر بتاع كولكور. كويس؟ أنا داير أقول شيء. طبعا نيال دين نيال في واحد لما كنا في السودان، واحد زول ظريف جدا قال يا اخي نيال ده نيال ده الجنة الوحيد جنوب السودان ما حصل نام جيعان. كويس؟ ما حصل نام جيعان، ده الزول الوحيد. كل الجنوبيين ديل جاعوا وتعبوا وشيقوا، لكن نيال ده نيال هيز نيفر. لكن نيال ده نيال مع احترامي لنيال ده نيال ده نيال هو كسلان وجنه بس كوره.
نعم.
هو يعني I think هو زول بتاع مانشستر يونايتد ولا بتاع زول بتاع ارسنال، انا ما عارف. يعني هو مهتم بالجوانب، زول لطيف جدا. ما قد ما يكون الرجل المناسب مثلا في المرحله القادمه، لانه يا جنكور اذا انت تفتكر او يعني تخد نفسك بانك يو ار انتليجنت وانت صن بتاع الليدر ان ساوث السودان والرئاسه والبهاين ده هيجيبوا لك في محلك، انت غلطان. not doing nothing. بقى وزير خارجية كم مرة، بقى وزير دفاع كم مرة، لم يترك بصمات.
لكن أستاذ عبد الله معلش لا قطع حديثك، هذا يعني إن السماء قد أصبح مجهولا للحضنة السياسية وأبناء دينك الذين كانوا يتمنون أن يكون نيال دينيال هو الخليفة لسلفا كير حتى يقوم بتصليح الأمور في البلد كلها يعني.
يس الآن السماء بقت مجهول. كويس؟ الآن بقت مجهولة تماما. الناس زمان بيقول اوه نيال دين نيال هيجي بعد بين ونيال دين نيال الرجل المناسب. وين الآن نيال دين نيال؟ And this is the last time. نيال دين نيال Salva Kiir will never appoint him again. ما هيجيبه خالص. كويس؟ لأنه هو فشل. في الحقيقة هو فشل.
لا ده يعني عشان نيال فشل ولا because نيال is eyeing on his seat. لأن Salva Kiir what we know so far anyone that اي زول بيقولوا قال يا اخي زول لا يمكن يكون خليفه ولا يكون باني وهاي بشكل كده he's likely to take a head with that person. Is it because really Nial is eyeing on his seat or just Nial fell?
نيال هو actually نيال في ناس المشي جابوه قالوا انت تعال اقعد عشان تكون خليفه للرئيس. اوكي؟ نيال هو كان برا، لكن المجموعه بتاع الجين كانسل هم اللي اغنوا سلفا، هم اللي اغنوا نيال انه يرجع ويكون في رئاسه الجمهوريه. كويس؟ لكن نيال بدل هو كان يجي يشتغل في اشياء كثير. نيال حصر نفسه كوزير لمكتب الرئيس فقط، يعمل ابوينتمنت للرئيس منو اللي يدخل ومنو ما يدخل. وانا اتفاجأت لما وزير الدفاع الاسبق كوال منيان قال ما قابل الرئيس لمده 8 شهور، في انه هو نيال محسوب للمعسكر بتاع الناس كوال منيان. اذا كوال نيال هو كان يعمل المصالحات. نيال كان يقرب نفسه للجنوبيين المتعلمين التنقراط عشان ينقل الحركه الشعبيه مثلا او قرارات الحركه الشعبيه من الغابيه الى مدنيه، لانه هو صح هو في الجيل الثاني للحركه الشعبيه وما كبير شديد يعني بالنسبه لاعمار بتاع ناس كوال منيان وناكوت. نيال ما كبير، لكن نيال عمل شنو؟ نيال didn't do nothing. هو ساكت عشان انه باين يجيبوا له في محله. الان كولكور متحرك، والمعسكر حقه نشط جدا. هو هم الان اقرب للخلافه من غيره. كويس؟ يعني جنوب السودان الان انا داير اقول شنو للمواطن دول بوينت. كويس؟ انا بالنسبه لي يس ده التحليل، لكن هنالك الشباب، هنالك جيل الان بيعد في نفسه انه يجي يعمل تغيير حقيقي في جنوب السودان. كويس؟ والجيل الجاي ده for example our program United Citizens for Change we are one or who are preparing themselves to come and help, you know, and we will come and we can do better than what they are doing now. كويس؟ نحن دايرين مثلا الاجيال دي تجهز نفسها
نعم
وتجي للسؤال اللي قبل انت طرحته.
نعم.
ما هي واجبات الدوله على المواطن؟ واجبات الدوله على المواطن هو شنو؟ حفظ الامن، تامين المواطن من الخوف والجوع.
نعم.
كويس؟ حقوق الانسان، الخدمات، تعليم، صحه، طرق. كويس؟ حفاظ حدود الدوله، حقوق المواطن او واجبات المواطن على الدوله انه يدافع عن الدوله. متى ما نودي كويس للدفاع عن الدوله في الجيش لازم المواطن يمشي ويدافع عن الدوله.
نعم.
كويس؟ ده واجبات المواطن تجاه الدوله. المواطن لازم يدفع ضرائب، المواطن لازم يحترم القانون، الحكومه لازم ينفذ القانون. نحن دايرين حكومه بتاع برنامج، ما حكومه بتاع ونزه. الان الحركه، المشكله بتاع الحركه الشعبيه الان they are confused.
نعم.
they don't know what they are doing. لانه الحزب ما مؤثر في قرارات الدوله، الحزب ما مؤثر في الدوله. الان في مجموعات قد تكون مثلا تجمعات اقليميه او قبليه هي اقوى من الاحزاب السياسيه في جنوب السودان.
نعم.
اذا لازم انه الشباب الجيل الثالث او الجيل الثاني يعيد نفسه ويجيب مبادرات ويكون في برنامج وطني شامل على اساس كل مواطن في جنوب السودان يرى نفسه برنامج بتاع الدوله يخط المنافع بتاعت الدوله اولا، او انه الدوله دي لازم تكون فيها يعني حريات عديد للمواطن، انه المواطن يتكلم بالحريه. الان نحن نتكلم في السوشيال ميديا but we are not in South Sudan. But maybe today, Jankor Mayor, if you are in South Sudan, you will not gonna talk like this, you know.
Absolutely.
دايرين الحكومة يدي هامش للحرية. كويس؟ قبل اليومين طبعا انت شفت جوبا طافية ما في كهرباء. مشكلة شنو؟ والله يقول لك الحبش ديل قطعوا الكهرباء. جوبا ما في مويه. الحاصل شنو؟ والله يريتين ديل وقفوا من التناكر الان ما شغالة.
نعم.
في زيارة ما في دولة. واجبات الدولة إنه الخدمات الأساسية المواطن الجنوبي هو الذي يقوم بتقديم هذه الخدمات للمواطن داخل دولته وليس للأجنبي. ما الأجنبي هو اللي بيقدم المويه، ما الأجنبي هو اللي بيقدم الكهرباء. طيب دور الحكومة شنو؟ دور الحكومة شنو؟ إذا لسؤالك أنت قبل قلته لازم الحكومة تقوم بوظائفها تجاه الدولة والمواطن يقوم بواجباته تجاه الدولة.
نعم.
الدولة تكون دولة بتاع برامج، أحزاب سياسية مطلوبة في وقت الحالي، لأنه الأحزاب السياسية بتقلل من المجموعات بتاعت القبيلة، بتقلل من التكتلات الإقليمية. الأحزاب السياسية ضرورية إنها تكون موجودة، برضو يكون في هامش للرأي والرأي الآخر في جنوب السودان. فأنا بقول القرارات الأخيرة بتاعت السيد الرئيس في الحقيقة هي بام كبير جدا، و قد يكون تغيير الحقيقي في جنوب السودان، قد يكون ان هذه القرارات يكون التغيير الحقيقي لجنوب السودان في انه الناس كانوا يعني بدعوا للرئيس كير على اساس هو يبقى في الحكومه لفتره مفتوحه ما معروفه ل200، انهم الان يقوموا يشتغلوا للدوله. انت لما تذكر تصريحات بتاع نيال دنيا قال يا اخي الحكومه دي محتاجه من 3 ل 5 سنة عشان نفس الانتخابات.
يس.
هل هذا غلط؟ نيال هو هيجي يقول نفس الكلام ده ولا يغير كلامه؟ اذا رساله لكل الناس الموجودين في الحكومه، انت لازم تعمل للدوله، ما تعمل لاشخاص، ما تعمل للرجال. فانا اطلت عليكم الكلام. براذر ديمو انا بسلم عليك، وايضا الاخ المتحدث من خب. انا بقول للمواطن يعني ما تفقد العمل كثيرا. التغيير بيحصل تغيير، لكن تغيير مفاجئ.
نعم استاذ عبد الله قرن، نحن كنا يعني متوقعين انه نيال دنيال زي ما انت ذكرت انه من الصف الثاني او الجيل الثاني للحركه الشعبيه ينهاز للشعب الجنوب السوداني المنحط اللي نايل تعب فترات طويله. لكن نيال بعد ما جاء من لندن يعني ما في كلام ده في راسه خالص، انما كان واليا عنده ولاء لرئيس الفكير. يعني الناس كانت بتعمل انه نيال will يعني يعمل بريدج للقضايا الحاصله بين كل التكتلات السياسيه الموجوده، political grouping, rebel and other political parties. ده الشغل اللي انا كنت متوقعه. لكن العكس، يعني العكس انه نيال he did not work on that. He did not work on that. He was so loyal to the president.
هلا جانكور الان سقط القناع تماما. نحن بنناشد انه بدل الحكومه مثلا يدوه هديه لناس، يدوه لفلان لفلان، الحكومه لازم يكون عن طريق الانتخابات.
نعم،
لازم يكون في انتخابات.
نعم.
اذا الحكومه الان بيقول يا اخي ما في تعداد سكاني مثلا في جنوب السودان، دوائر جغرافيه ما معروف، ممكن ننزل بالدوائر الانتخابيه بتاعت 2010 كويس، ونعمل دوائر مثلا للخريجين ونعمل اضافات، نمشي انتخابات، نخلي الشعب في جنوب السودان يختار من الذي يحكم في جنوب السودان كويس. لكن كونه مثلا السلطه ينتقل هديه من فلان لفلان، ده ما خلافه. في الاول اصلا دي مفهوم كان خاطئ جدا من خصوصا من مجموعه بتاعت الجين كونسل. ده مجموعه ده فهم خاطئ جدا انه الرئيس يسلم السلطه لتسليم وتسلم كويس، لانه ده بيعمل لنا مشاكل في الدوله. لانه الان نيال في الصف بتاع الحركه الشعبيه هو behind كوالمانيان، behind وناكوت، and he's behind وانيجا. انت هتجيبه كيف؟ لو انت جبت نيال انت هتجيبه كيف؟ لو انت جبت بطرق ملتويه، بطرق بتاخير زي ما حصل في مؤتمر الحركه الشعبيه القسم ظهر بعير، اذا لسه في مشاكل، لانه في مجموعات قبليه موجوده في جنوب السودان ما حيقبلوا. ايفن حتى لو وانيجا ولا رياض مشار، ما تنظر رياض مشار بالمناسبه، رياض مشار موجود، هو النائب الاول لرئيس الجمهوريه. في اي حال من الاحوال حصل اي حاجه في لرئيس الجمهوريه، يس الاتفاقيه بقول الحركه الشعبيه هو الذي يختار من الذي ياتي بعد الرئيس. لكن اذا الرئيس قال يا اخي انا ما داير سلطه، فعلى الرئيس يجب ان لا يسلم السلطه تسليم وتسلم، يكون في برنامج بتاع الدوله، الناس تستعد انها القروش البترول الان الموجوده تنشي مركز بتاع المركز القومي للتعداد السكاني والوريفر، ناس تبع التعداد السكاني، ما مبلغ كبير، لانه جنوب السودان ما اكثر من 12 ولا 14 مليون. نعمل تعداد سكاني، بعد تعداد سكاني عشان نقدر نقسم، نحدد الدوائر الجغرافيه نحن دايرينها كم، ونقسم عدد الدوائر الجغرافيه على التعداد عدد المواطنين، ونحدد دوائر ونمشي انتخابات. وقبل ما نمشي انتخابات برضه لازم يكون في تسجيل الاحزاب السياسيه في جنوب السودان، لازم يكون في قانون للاحزاب السياسيه، عشان ما يزول عنده شنطه يقول عنده حزب. لا، الحزب لازم يكون في قانون، حزب موجود في 10 ولايات، حزب عنده عضويه لا تقل مثلا من 500 في كل ولايه، مثلا حزب عنده قائمه بتاعت قيادات مثلا 150 200 نفر كشروط في لتسجيل الاحزاب. احزاب لا يكون مسنودا من القبيله، احزاب عندها ولا قومي، احزاب عندها برامج قوميه وليس برامج قبليه. هنا نحن بهذه الطريقه نستطيع ان نتخلص تدريجيا من القبليه، لانه القبليه في جنوب السودان لا نستطيع ان نحاربها خارج الاطار القانوني، لكن لما يكون في دستور يحمي كل المواطنين ويحفظ حقوقهم، هنا تدريجيا القبليه ممكن ان تذهب من غير رجعه. لكن هي من الاول هي فكره خاطئه انه الرئيس يسلم السلطه تسليم وتسلم. الان especially لكير سبورتر and now نيال is not there. انت هتيجي تقول شنو ثاني؟ كويس؟ رساله اخيره يا جماعه، رساله اخيره، انا داير حاجه مهمه جدا. في ناس طبعا يس ينقى في جنوب السودان عدد كبير جدا، في ارقام نحن ما نخوض في مغالطات نقول الارقام دي، لكن التعداد السكاني لما نجي بحدد العدد بتاعت الناس. يس دينكا هم ماجوري في جنوب السودان، لكن الأكثرية لا يعني إنه يكون في تحميش للأقليات.
الآخرين. نعم.
even لو في قبيلة في جنوب السودان عندها 500 نفر ولا عندها 200 نفر لازم يدوا الاعتبارية ويشوف نفسه موجود في جنوب السودان ويدوا الفرصة. اوكي، عشان كده نحن حركة شعبية mess up everything. Yes, they fought since 1983 until 2005, but from 2005 until now they mess up their credit. كويس. الآن الأجيال القادمة ما في حل قدامنا إنه نشجع بلد يكون فيها انتخابات، يكون فيها تداول سلمي للسلطة. لأنه الآن أنت لو مشيت في جنوب السودان يعني الناس الوزراء ديل لما يتكلموا معك أو لما يتونس معك أنت تشعر إنه زول ده يعني هو ما فاهم ولا المشكلة شنو، أنا ما أعرف. كويس يا جماعة، العمل السياسي ده ما تجمعات يكون عندك ناس كثير يعني، لأنه للأسف الشديد يعني الكثير من العناصر خصوصا داخل الحركة الشعبية
نعم
يعني أصبحوا الناس بتاع الإشاعات، هم الناس بتاع الإشاعات ينقلوا ده قال وده قال، يفتنوا حتى فيما بعض، يفتنوا نفسهم من غير ما يركزوا في برنامج الأساسي، برنامج بتاع الدولة، برنامج بتاع الحزب. إذا أنا رسالتي للجيل القادم ورسالتي لأبناء بهرازات، يس نحن أغلبية كثير. هو الرئيس غير منتخب، رئيس بعد الريفرندوم الحركة الشعبية قعدوا قالوا منو اللي يواصل، منو اللي يقعد في كرسي، والمنيان قال لكير انت اقعد هناك. كويس. الشعب السوداني ما قال له اقعد هناك، يس الشعب السوداني انتخب كير كالرئيس لإقليم حكومة جنوب السودان. والرسالة الكلام لازم يكون واضح جدا، لازم تفصل بين الرئيس إقليم وبين رئيس الدولة. في فرق كبير جدا، لأنه رئيس الإقليم أدى القسم في القصر الجمهوري بدستور السودان. كويس، بدستور السودان بتاع 1956 المعدل في 64 في 88 في 72 الدستور المعدل. لكن الآن جنوب السودان نحن الجمهورية، عندنا دولة، عندنا دستور. الرئيس الآن المنتخب لم ينتخب بناء على دستور جنوب السودان. إذا لابد من انتخابات عشان ما يكون في تحميش، ما يكون في أقليات. الحرب جربناه كثير ما نفع. فنأمل إنه المجموعات الآن قاعد تعمل مفاوضات إنها تصل للسلام وتجي تضم صوتها لنا نحن في جنوب السودان الذين ينادون للتغيير من غير حمل السلاح، من دون المواطن ما يتشرد أو ما ينزع. أنا بشكرك براز جانكور مايول وفي سيتي اوف كونسيرن سيتيزن اوف ساوث سودان. الآن أنا طولت على الناس وطولت على المشاهدين. كنت
عندي سؤال داير أسأله أصلا قبل ما تمشي، لكن I don't know إذا كان الزمن بيسمع. معلش أستاذ دين أنا بجيبك. البشير قبل you know his divorce from the power عمل نفس الخطوات اللي كير عمل اليوم، غير وعين ولاة عسكريين. الآن كير قلب الطاولة وعين ايضا السفراء عسكريين بما فيه جي اوكوت، عينوا سفيرا في بلجيكا. Don't you see this is the end of Kir we know?
يس البشير قبل ما يمشي في فبراير 2019 طبعا عمل تغيير.
نعم.
وعمل قرارات، كان في تخبط، كان في عدم استقرار للرئيس بشير في فبراير 2019. فنفس القرارات الان نحن بنشوف في جنوب السودان، نفس القرارات كان مثلا في 2019 في السودان، لانه في تخبط في 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 في, في الخارطه السياسيه، الخارطه السياسيه مجهوله زي انت ما قلتها في البدايه. يعني الان شال جي وداه سفير في بلجيا ده عندنا فيه شنو مثلا؟ ولا حل يخلق له وظيفه، يخلق لك وظيفه عشان مثلا عشان انت ما تتمرد. ده الهدف. هنالك تخبط في إدارة الدولة، لأنه الآن الرئيس سلفا كير مايارديت لا يعتمد على قرارات جاية مثلا من الحزب الحركة الشعبية في إنه قيادات كبيرة top general of SPLA now they are annoying right now like كوالمنيان. كويس. the same thing حصلت في فبراير 2019. الرئيس عمر البشير أدى ظهره لحكومة المؤتمر الوطني وللحركة الإسلامية وقال أنا الرئيس للكل. عشان كده بعض عناصر الحركة الإسلامية والمؤتمر الوطني في الحكومة دعموا التغيير في السودان. هم لأنه التغيير اللي حصل في السودان مدعومة من بعض العناصر اللي كانوا في حكومة البشير، زي عوض بن عوف، زي صلاح عبد الله قوش مدير المخابرات، وآخرون ديرهم اللي كان يعني they cook this change in Sudan. The same thing. أتوقع إنه المجموعة التي تم إقصائها بهذه القرارات إنها تضم أصواتها للتغيير والانتخابات مبكرة في جنوب السودان، سواء كان مباشر أو بطريقة مباشرة. لما نقول طريقة مباشر، في ناس كثير الآن في جنوب السودان generals they talking behind إنه كير اتباعي رايت، كير ما أخر البلد، حاجات كثير جدا they're talking under the table.
Yes.
We want them to come to the media. We want them to come, you know. في وسائل كثيرة الآن تقدر تستطيع أن توصل رسالتك. فأنا أتوقع بأن مجموعة بتاعت نيال دين نيال especially Gen Council of Elders, you know, كوال منياغ وآخرون كويس قد ينضموا. هنالك في رغبة للتغيير لإعشاب جنوب السودان. الآن في رغبة للتغيير، هنالك رغبة للتغيير، لكن هاو والناس تبدأ من وين؟ ده الحاجة المواطن منتظره. وانت شفت يوم انت لما حصلت الحادث بتاعت الفنانة 5 دقائق الناس طلعت في الشارع وعبرت وكده. الحكومة خافت، الحكومة بترجع دائما، الحكومة بتخاف، أي حكومة بتخاف من المواطن إنها تخرج للشارع ويعبر عن رأيه، ده حكومة ديكتاتورية ونهايتها قريب. الآن أنا أتوقع إنه هذه المجموعة تطلع من ظهر كير، لأنه كير ذاته ما شغال بالحركة الشعبية، إنها تخرج من هذا الإطار وتجي تدعم الإطار السلمي التي تطالب بانتخابات مبكرة في جنوب السودان وتداول سلمي للسلطة بدلا من السلاح، ويكون لنا برنامج ونعدل في هذا الدستور، لأنه الدستور الآن الموجود بالنسبة لي أنا دستور ضعيف جدا، لأنه الدستور بيعطي كل الصلاحيات لرئيس الجمهورية يقيل حتى أعضاء البرلمان. يعني الآن البرلمان الآن الموجود هي برلمان يعني معين من الرئيس، وولاءها للرئيس أكثر من الشعب، لأنه الشعب ما جابوا الولاء. الآن ولاءهم للرئيس، لأنه الرئيس ممكن يشيل حتى رئيس البرلمان، ممكن يقفل البرلمان. نحن دايرين حكومة يكون متوازية، يكون مثلا إن في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية الرئيس ما بينفرد بقرارات لوحده في 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 سنة وفي مجلس الشيوخ، في هاوس ريبريزنتيف وفي سنة وفي البيت الأبيض 3 كويس. لكن في جنوب السودان الحريات أو القرارات مطلقة للرئيس. نحن في الحكومة بتجي عن طريق الانتخابات لا نريد مثل هذا، دايرين تفصيل للسلطات عشان الرئيس ما ينفرد بالسلطة ويكون ديكتاتوري زي ما نحن الليلة مثلا شايفينه في جنوب السودان. هنالك ملامح بتاع الديكتاتورية في شخصية الرئيس سلفا كير مياديت،
هو ديكتاتور اصلا. نعم.
فانا بشكرك، وانا اعطيت على الناس المشاهدين معلش انا عارفك انت ما العربي حق لي شويه كده ما يعني
anyway استاذ عبد الله قرأ كل الشكر يعني ل contribution is really well said. اشكرك كل الشكر. Please stick around. With that, my dear brother being Mo, welcome to Concerned Citizen in South Sudan. نحن بنتكلم اليوم عن the concept of state او مفهوم الدولة وحقوق المواطنين. ده موضوع مهم جدا جدا. ضيف بتاعنا كان جنرال بيل رامبانج. but let us start مع القرارات الجمهورية. وزي ما أنا ذكرت قبل، لقد أصبح السماء مجهولا للذين كانوا ينادون بأن نيال دينغ يكون خليفة لسلفا كير. أنا داير تعليقك في القرارات اللي حدثت اليوم، وبعد كده نخش في مفهوم الدولة لدى المواطن ولدى السياسيين وحقوق المواطنين زادت من في الدولة. تفضل دينغو.
Thank you, Brother Jonkor. Our viewers والمتحدثين الحدثوا قبالي.
نعم.
أنا بسلم عليكم باسم دولتنا جنوب السودان. I'm not much interested about what has happened tonight or a few hours ago in J1 concerning the decrease, because President Kiir is known to be an expert in policies of divide and rule.
Correct.
Yes, so it is this same divide and rule strategy that he has been applying on South Sudanese all along is what he also applied today. So it is not something new to me. I don't want to talk much about it. Kiir want to pit Nial against a call, or a call against Nial, or he want to bring division within that constituency. And same as to Thomas Dwarth and Simon Yen Makwach, and same as to any other people. This is strategy, I used to say it on my personal view, that this is the strategy SPLM came up with after they find themselves that they have completely deviated from the real mission of the SPLM. They sat before the election of 2010 and they agreed among themselves that how should we keep these people busy for us to be able to rule for long? Because their expectation was, they used to say that they will rule this country until Jesus come back. This is what they say. So, yes, they were right. They were right. They would have ruled South Sudan as much as they want if they did not deviate from the real mission and objectives of the SPLA. Soon after they deviate from the objectives and the mission of the SPLA, they knew it. Then they sat and came up with this strategy trained to them by our enemy, which is Bashir, the Northern Sudan. How should they divide these people for them to keep them busy so that they can rule for long? Correct. Is when these people came up, and if you look at the constituencies of 2010 elections, it is like an area, Wood, for example, they come out with, they picks out that one and they make it a constituency. They bring two sons from that same village to compete against each other. Yes. The intention is to divide that village.
That community, yes.
Yes, that is the intention. So it is this same intention that is still going on up to today. Whenever Kiir finds himself in a narrow positions, he come up with this strategy of dividing peoples in one area so that he can buy time, so that he can find a space for him to breathe. It is something that's concerning Juba. I will go to our topic.
No.
That's what I will talk much about. مفهوم الدولة حقوق بتاع المواطن والواجبات. In fact, citizenship is not just a matter of paper or just a matter of a status of someone being born in a particular state. It is bigger than that. It is power. And that is why some countries that give it out, in some cases, doesn't just give it out easily. They have to give you some procedures, some criteria, some probation period for you to be qualified to get that status called citizenship, because it is power. It comes with obligations when you have it. It comes with rights of you being a citizen. Yes, the right of a citizen are obvious and the whole world knows them, that are supposed to be provided by the government. We have right to live. We have right for a social gatherings. We have right to make families. We have right to work. We have right to safety, security. Bottom lines, let's talk of the human rights.
Yes.
Human rights are the rights of each and every citizen in his own country that are supposed to be provided by his government. So these are the right of a citizen. Obligation of a citizen is, they say, when a country have good citizens, that country will have a good government, because government come out of the citizens.
Yes.
It is our moral behaviors as a society or as a community that will also go with us when we are appointed or elected to be public representatives. So we have this obligation of serving our country in all the different fields. That's why some of our brothers, as we are now speaking, some of them are in the hospitals, Juba Teaching Hospital, though there is no power in it, no medicines, they are there serving their countrymen and women. He is executing his duties to his country. And that's why, as we also speak, our soldiers we are talking about, that they go and cut firewood or they cut charcoal so that they can sell for them to feed themselves, they are on their duties. That is an obligation of a citizen toward his country. You see? But where have we gone wrong here? في مفهوم تقليدي شعلوها وجابوا للدولة.
نعم نعم.
وما مفهوم الدولة.
Correct.
مفهوم ده مفهوم ده شايلينه من التقليد. زي مثلا أتحدث عن دينغا. دينغا كبير البيت ولا هو كبير الأسرة مثلا. هو كبير الأسرة وده زول بيقول آخر كلام. مرات ممكن قراره يكون قرار غلط بيودي ناس يعني على مكان ما تمام. لكن بحاجز بتاع الأمور انت ما ممكن تقول له لا. ناس بيسكتوا ويخلوا الغلط ده تمشي زي ده. يسوي زول كبير قالوا. So most of our people, even people we think that they are learned, they went to school, seem like they know nothing about the institution. Seem like they know nothing about the state. Running a country is not like running a family. Your family is your own. If you mismanage it, maybe the outcome of that mismanagement will be minor. But if you mismanage the state, that's going to be too big to be handled. So, مواطنة ما عنده عمر. مواطنة ما عنده علاقة بحواجز بتاعتنا. ده مواطن رئيس وده مواطن خفير. كلنا مواطنين متساويين في الحقوق. واللي بخلي الناس بتاعنا المواطن بتاعنا يجري بورا السياسيين ده سبب انه ما بيعرف حق انه بالمواطن اللي انه في يده ده هو زيه وزي مواطن تاني ماسك منصب كبير وهو اقوى من اي موظف تنفيذي مثلا. So this ignorance is what is letting our people giving out their rights and running after politicians, thinking that the power is with politicians, not knowing that the power is with them, the power is not with politicians. And because SPLM has this policy of divide and rules, keep people at the dark for them to rule for a long time, they are not willing to open our people's eyes to know these rights. The constitution of South Sudan is good. all the rights that we deserve are written and provided in that book, in that constitution. The small section within the constitution is the only one that is bad, which are the powers given to the president. And that was not something to invite every citizen, because not all of us were looking for a political seat or want the president to be given these powers and not to be given the other powers. See? So these constitutions, if it can be taught to our people today, and they know what they deserve, and they know what they are, according to the constitutions, I think the mindset or the thought patterns of our people may shift to the right direction. But as for now, because people don't know what they deserve, they don't even know what is their rights, that is why you are seeing all this confusion coming up. And the confusion is not from the rural village. Constitution is from those who call themselves intellectuals. My generations. I always talk of my generations. My generation is the one that is missing the sacred responsibility that they are supposed to be doing now. Who is supposed to open the people's eyes? Who is supposed to volunteer and tells the rights and duties within the constitution? Us. But my generation have this, I may call it intellectual cowardness or intellectual laziness. They love taking information from the third party. They don't have time to read. They stay 9 hours, 8 hours under a tree. And those are the information they are depending on. Then to get the true information from the right source. Believe me, even the public servants or the executives within South Sudan themselves, they don't read the constitution. They don't know what is written in it. Even President Kiir himself, he only visits the constitution once he needs a certain article out of it. Like when he wants to decree. Yes. When he wants to make a decree and he wants to say that the powers conferred upon me whatsoever, that is when he will go to the constitution to look for the articles. It is like we are doing what we don't know, and that is where we went wrong.
Yeah, go ahead, Ding. We are listening to you.
Yes, I think I've stopped.
You have stopped there. Okay, Ding, I really appreciate you, for laying out actually what are concept of the state, مفهوم الدولة وحقوق المواطنين أو حقوق المواطنة في الدولة, which is lacking. ناس بتاعنا ما عارفين, يعني ناس كثيرين ما بيكونوا عارفين يعني حقوقهم شنو في الدولة. المواطن الجنوب السوداني ما بيعرف حق بتاعه في الدولة. عشان كده سلفا كير وأمثاله بينفردوا دائما, and people think that actually that government belong to Salva Kiir, belong to SPLM, and sometimes they have misunderstanding. يعني بيشوفوا رئيسات يا دولة, بيشوفوا رئيسات يا حزب, بيشوفوا رئيسات يا قبيلة, and this is something that we have been struggling with. لما نقول للناس no, رئيس كير is an individuals who ما يعو دولة, okay, هو رئيس الدولة, هو ما يعو حزب the SPLM, هو ما يعو Dinka, even though we're getting a lot of argument, because some people, when you say Kir did this and Kir did that and Kir did that, they turn it around and they said, oh well, you are against the Dinka. People say that to me simply because criticizing the president, because they don't differentiate actually between the president and the tribe. And it's something really I don't understand how we can explain to them فانا دايرك دين قبل ما ندي my dear brothers كوات ولا تاك chance. احنا نازل نغنيهم كيف او نغنيهم كيف انه يا رئيس هو ما ياو دينكا، رئيس هو ما ياو الدوله، رئيس هو ما ياو حزب. هيز individuals، فرد من افراد المجتمع يعني عنده مسؤوليه ادوا فيه انه يكون رئيس كدوله عشان الناس تقدر تعرف وحقوقهم ذاته. لان مواطن الجنوب السودان القاعد في القرى او الناس السيما educated yet they still don't understand that actually they have right in the حكومه to provide education, to provide healthcare, to provide hospital infrastructure and all these things. وما عارفين الكلام ده. فانا داير اديك that chance before I move on to my two brothers. Go ahead please.
Thank you for the second chance. All the mess is embedded on the regime of Salva Kiir that is now in Juba. For all this to be possible, for us to educate our citizens about their rights and duties, we need to uproot this wrong regime that is encouraging the ignorance, that is encouraging all this kind of mess. If you have looked into our manifesto, the manifesto of 7 October movement, we have talked about youth brigade. A youth brigade is a brigade of youth that will be organized to tackle things like educating our people and also to tackle the health issues. We have taken the responsibility of education to be a right of every citizen, and it has to be sponsored by the government. So for that reason, we will have to organize the youth brigade to go down to our deep villages as volunteers, educate our people. We are not only educating them on their rights and duties, but we are also training them, fighting the illiteracy rates and preparing them for the century we are living. So there are other things we cannot do now as this bad government is in power. So it is the foundations where our country has been laid is the one that has been built wrong from the very beginning. For us to build anything on top of it is a wastage of time and a wastage of resources. That is why 7 October movement called for the demolitions, the complete demolitions of this bad regime, for us to be able to construct a good new foundations where all the other fruitful things can be cultivated and grown.
My dear brother, Ding, I really appreciate you coming in and adding this very solid and useful perspective, explaining the right of the citizen and obligation of the state toward the citizen as well. I'm going to go ahead and remove you and then I will continue with other guests. لو في أي موضوع تاني أضيفه بعد شوية يا أستاذ دين أنا برجع كمان. So شكرا، أنا أشكرك كل الشكر يعني، شكرا جزيلا. Let me go ahead and give this opportunity to Ustaz Konmayan, and then I will go for Ustaz Walatak as well. Konmayan, welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. I want to give you an opportunity to go ahead and weigh in.
السلام عليك يا جونكور. أنا بسلم عليك وبسلم للمشاهدين وسلم للضيوف القاعدين معنا في الاستديو. أنا طوالي بدخل في البرنامج اللي هو المفهوم بتاع الدولة والمواطنة. أول شيء إذا جينا في المفهوم بتاع الدولة، فالدولة هو الشكل بتاع الحكومة. الحكومة اللي بيكون موجود في الدولة هو اللي بيكون المفهوم الدولة، لأن الحكومة الموجودة عندنا في الدولة حكومة بلا كفاءات. يعني إذا لاحظنا في المناصب اللي هو المناصب الحكومية بنلقى ناس السياسيين ما مؤهلين. يبقى لما حكومة يكون فيها سياسيين وناس ما عندهم كفاءات عالية عشان يقدر يدير الحكومة، فمصير الحكومة بيكون الفشل، بيكون فشل. يعني أنا في الحكومة أنت ما ممكن تجيب لك زول في منصب زول ما قدر المنصب حقه. يعني مثلا زي توتكاو كبير بتاع يعني مستشار بتاع الرئيس بتاع الشؤون الأمنية، وزول ما عنده ولا بيعرف يكتب ولا بيعرف يقرا ذاته في نفس الوقت. يبقى كيف زي ده انه الحكومه حيكون حكومه؟ كيف يكون عنده يعني احترام في الدول الاخر يعني؟ وكيف انك الدوله تبني دوله قويه في حاله وجود بتاع ناس زي ناس توتكا وفي يعني كثير منهم ناس ما مؤهلين في شغل ويجيبون في المناصب الاعلى. فالحكومه بيكون ما عنده دور، ما بيكون قوي. زي ما انت لاحظت هسه في الدبلوماسيات اللي هو في الدبلوماسيه في الخارجيه بتاعنا في اهانه شديد بالنسبه للخارجيات حقتنا، زي ما حصل يوم الرئيس فات مصر ما اخذته علم جنبه، ووزير بتاع الشباب والرياضه فات المصر مشى قلبوا له علم. ده كله بيعكس ده عدم انه ما في يعني ما في كفاءات في الحكومه، وما في ناس قويه يعني بتقدر تدير الحكومه بشكل تمام وبشكل جيد عشان الحكومه يكون عندها احترام. نحن حكومه اللي هو الحكومه الجنوب في وقت حاليا ما مدينه احترام في الدول بتاع العالم. وليش شنو؟ السبب ده مننا نحن كالجنوبين او كالمسؤولين في الحكومه، التعيين بطريقه يعني الطريقه الخير مناسب. زي ما ذكروا اخونا عبد الله قبل، الدستور بتاعنا بتاع جنوب السودان مد صلاحيات للرئيس كلها. لما ندى صلاحيات للرئيس التعيين بقى معقد، لانه بقى معقد لشنو؟ الاختيار بقى من الرئيس شخصيا، والرئيس بيختار معظم الناس اللي ما عندهم كفاءات، الناس اللي ما بيقدروا يديروا البلد، الناس اللي بيشجعوا الفوضى في البلد. يعني زي ما حسين انت شايف البلد كلها ماشي مشاكلات، البلد ماشي شنو فساد في الادارات، زي ما حصل هسه في الكهرباء، انه الكهرباء مدينهم 38 مليون دولار واليوم كهرباء ما في جوبا. 38 مليون دولار والكهرباء اليوم ما في جوبا، ما في اي كهرباء. والسعر اللي بيبيعوا الكيلو بتاع الكهرباء بسعر معادل بالسوق بتاع الموازي، والكهرباء ما في. ومدين الناس مستقلين، الناس الجنرالات جايبين الاجانب وجايبين ناس منو وجايبين ناس منو، وخلوا البلد فاتح. يعني البلد بقى فاتح، البلد بقى فوضى، البلد بقى ما في احترام حتى لسيد البلد. اذا جينا في حق المواطن بتاع جنوب السودان ما عنده صوت في بلد. يعني انت كمواطن جنوبي في دوله جنوب السودان انت زي الاجنبي، والاجنبي سيد البلد. وانا ممكن اديكم قصه. يعني كان زمن كان فيليب أكبر رئيس بتاع
لكن
هيئه الاركان، جواد حبشي وعمل مع ناس مشاكل.
سامعني؟
لما سامع هاي.
انا قلت قبل ما تقول
الناس
القصه بتاعت المره بيك ده. طيب المواطن عشان يكون عنده صوت يعمل شنو يعني؟ ما هو في النهايه حقك ده لو ما داير يدوق له انت لن تفتش الوسيله عشان تلقى حقك، لان انت عندك حق. طيب حقك ده تاخذها كيف؟ تفضل.
الحق بتاع المواطن هو الخروج. زي ما كان يومتها الشباب لما كان الفنانة صدموه، الشباب طلعوا برا وطالبوا بحقه، طالبوا بحقوقهم. ده هو الطريقة الممكن المواطن يقدر يتكلم. لكن في البلد حقنا اللي هو جنوب السودان، بلد كله ديكاتور، بلد كله عنانية، بلد انت لو قلت سايد كير ناس باينوا لك، تقول كير تمام ولا كير كعب. لو قلت كير تمام ايوه خلاص، لو قلت كير كعب ما بتعرف انت تعرف بيك فوق ولا نزلوا بيك تاني، انت ما بتعرف ما فيه. فده هو المشكله. الناس جوا هناك، الناس هسه حاليا في جنوب الناس ما ساكتين، بالذات الشباب الموجودين الناس كله زعلانين. لانه انت لو لاحظت في الوضع الموجود في بلد حاليا، يعني خلابه الحاجات التعليم فيها مشكله، السيرفيس زي ما الكهرباء الناس دفعوا قروش وقطعوا لهم الكهرباء، العداد كل العدادات فيها هسي الناس اشتروا كهرباء والكهرباء قطعوا، زاد التوصيل الناس وصلوا بالقروش بيصير دولار كمان والكهرباء بقى ما في، فالحاجات دي كله بتزعل الناس. لكن الناس بيخاف شنو؟ الناس بيخاف في العنان اللي قاعدين دي، لانه انت يوم الليله لو طلعت برا يا جونكور بيجيب لك دبابه، ما في حاجه بيقول لك بومبام عندنا في جوبا، في الجنوب ما في بومبام، انت تطلع بيجيب لك دبابه طوالي. يبقى في حاله دي تعمل شنو؟ هسه زي الشباب اللي كان طلعوا برنامج بتاع الفنان، ما جابوا لهم جا شالوهم قدام الناس، شالوهم وجا كمان ناس جهاز الامن قاعدين تيت عاملين نفسهم ناس سي اي دي، ودي يقولوا ناس جهاز. انت زول تخدني سادي ودوك في سجن، انت تعمل شنو ودوك سجن؟ يبقى الكلام ده عشان يتكسر لازم الشعب ده يطلع كل يوم يقبطوا السجن ده، ما بيشيل كله، ما بيشيل الجنوبين كله. يوم انت بشير ما مسك ناس قدام سجن في النهايه جا عمل شنو؟ ما هو دخل سجن ونازل طلعهم برا. السجن ده بيملى، سجن اللوب ودوا فيه ناس ده بيملى، بلو هاوس ده هو شنو؟ هو ما حاجه صغيره زي ده بس، يعني حله واحد بس لو ودى جوا بكون ملأ خلاص، ما وتاني الباقي ده يوديه وين؟ فالمواطنين اللي هو الجنوبيين الناس لازم تقوي كلامهم، الناس لازم تطلع وتتكلم. يعني هسه زي برنامج بتاع الكهرباء ده المفروض الناس ما يسكتوا، الناس يطلعوا ويمشوا محل الكهرباء ده ويعملوا ويتظاهروا فيه، لانه ده حق من حقوقهم. انت زول دافع قروشك وقطعوا لك الكهرباء حقك، قطعوا مشكلتك شنو؟ انت ما عندك ذنب، انت زول دفعت قروشك، دفعت القروش بتاع العمود، دفعت القروش بتاع العداد ومشيت اشتريت كهرباء بتاعك جبته، انت ما عندك مشكله. وانا الكلام الحبس ده دخل كيف في الكونتراكت انا ما بعرف، لانه الكونتراكت اللي عارفينه البنك بتاع التنميه الافريقيه دفع 38 مليون دولار، ده قروش بتاع الكهرباء. الحبشي ده جا كيف في الهنا بتاع زار، وصل كيف لما هو يكون عنده يعني تاثير في الشركه. يبقى النازل انتوا فاتحين المشهد، عاملين مصانع برا، عاملين شركات برا، هل نحن الجنوبيين ما عندنا ناس عندهم قروش يقدروا يديروا الشركه ده؟ المستثمرين اللي قاعدين ده فايده بتاعهم شنو؟ يعني هسه زي ناس مكير جاي، زي ناس اللي قاعدين يقولوا هم بزنس مان، بزنس مان لشنو؟ طالما انت بزنس مان والاجانب يا هم ماسكين الشركات ويتحكموا في الناس ويعني يهينوا المواطن، يبقى انت بزنس مان في مستوى، يعني بزنس بتاعك شنو ذاته؟ يا جونكور المواطن الجنوبي زعلان. انا بتكلم معاك ده مواطن جنوبي زعلان، لكن الناس خايفين من الموت اللي بتحصل للناس. يعني انت اليوم 3 اذا ما قتلوك في الميدان بيشيلوك بالليل، زي ما انت بتعرف بس في كم ناس قتلوهم في جوبا. زول بيشيلوا ما معروف الشالو شنو، زول بيجي بيضربوه في بيت يقولوا قال يعني زول مالكو، زي الجرائم بتاع القتل الحس الموجوده في جوبا ده كلها ما بيلقوا منه زول. جريمه بتاع القتل في جوبا ما بيلقوا زول القاتل نهايه، وجرائم ده كتير، مش نقول 1 ولا 2 ولا 3. فده بيوري انه المواطن ما عنده قيمه عند الحكومه. المواطن ده قاعد كزول ساعد بس، يعني ما عندك صوت، وما عندنا صوت كيف؟ لانه المواطن الاس بي ال لما شاكل زمان اس بي ال ما عنده بجت، اس بي ال زمان الناس بيطلعوا له خروف، اس بي ال الناس زول اللي عنده 2 قميص بيطلع له قميص واحد، الزول اللي ما عنده قدره عشان يشاكل بيرفع ذخيره بيمشي بيعمل لهم شنو؟ الناس دي كله ساهموا. فالمواطن يا الحكومه، المواطن انت لما تحترم مواطنك، المواطن بيقدر يساعدك في الخدمه، المواطن بيقدر يساعدك في التنميه، المواطن بيقف مع الحكومه. يعني زي المسائل بتاع التنميه بتاع الشغل ده الناس بيقف، لكن انت تجيب حكومه ما عمل استراتيجيات. اول شيء ما عنده استراتيجيات عشان يقدر يعني يدير البلد. زي ما انا قلت لك اسي الشغل في جوبا، انت اجنبي بيلقى شغل والشباب ما لاقين شغل. تمشي المستشفى اللي هو المستشفى جوبا ده ما بتلقى دكاتره، ما بتلقى خدمه. حتى الدواء بيجيبوه الناس المنظمه وديل بيشيلوا بيجيبوا بيهو برا عشان تشوف فساد ده كيف. الدم انا قدامك ده كنا قاعدين نتبرع، الدم اللي بقى ما في بنك الدم ده لما فتوى رياض قاعد يكوك فتوى قاعد نتبرع في الدم، قاعد ناخذ دم في بنك الدم ده. فالمواطن يا جونكور ما عشان هما ما عارف حقوقهم، لكن الناس خايفين، وانت لما تتكلم بقول لك انت تتكلم دار تقول شنو SPLA مع شاكل حرر البلد وينه بلد الحراره؟ بلد الحراره هسه بقى ناس بقى يضربوا نفسهم قبليه، مشاكل في شارع يعني في شارع النملي ناس قتلوهم فيهم قبل كم ايام، في شارع الماشي مندري موت فوقه. يبقى وين السلام؟ وين الحرير؟ انه يقول يعني لا، قالوا الحركه شعبيه حرر البلد، وين التحرير؟ حررونا للمشاكل، حررونا نيجي نعمل قبليه برانا، نيجي نشاكل ندمر نفوسنا، حررونا عشان نيجي نهمش نفوسنا. يعني ما في تنميه، ما في مشروع بتاع تعليم جيد، ما في شنو يعني ده ما في حاجه بوري انه في تحرير عملوا لنا اصلا، لانه الشعب تعبان.
in order to protect that مفهوم ما في حاجه اسمها تحرير، لان التحرير الجنوبيين كلهم contribute، ما في زول جنوب السودان ما عمل contribution في war، ما في، كلنا عملنا contribution. في زول شال سلاح، في زول كتب قلم بتاعه، ناس دي ودلينه كان بمشي بدي محاضرات في western university western world universities about what about South Sudan. Everybody contributed, we voted overwhelmingly, all of us voted. لو ما كنا صوتنا for referendum ده كان هيكون عندنا جنوب السودان، we wouldn't have this country. So the ideas that في زول بيقول لك حرارتك is just ludicrous. They don't know what they're talking about. المهم كمل عشان انا ادي فرصه للناس تانيين ديل so we can move on. Go ahead.
فالشيء اللي انا بقوله والرساله اللي انا داير اقوله يا جونكور، نحن الشعب بتاع جنوب السودان لازم انه الناس تقوم فوق، يعني الناس تكونوا واعيين، والناس لازم تقوم فوق عشان تقدر نحل المشاكل. لانه الجنوب حاليا في وضع يعني اذا الشباب ما قاموا، اذا الشباب ما يتكاتفوا، اذا الشباب يعني ما نظروا للموضوع، البلد بيمشي في حاله صعب جدا. لانه الحاله البلد اللي فيه واسع الصراعات الحاصل في الحكومه، والصراعات الحاصل في المجتمعات، والصراعات الحاصل في المجموعات المسلحه، ده يعني ده قنبله مقفول، ده قنبله بقول له مقفول، اذا يتفجر يكون مشكله. يعني قبل ما يتفجر لازم الناس تتكاتف والشباب تتصالح، والناس تشوف المبادره ويقدر ينظروا للمستقبل بتاع البلد. لانه بلدنا هسه في خطر شديد يا حاج، بلد في خطر شديد، لانه الجنوبيين ما بيحبوا نفسهم، جنوبيين يعني ما بقوا زي زمان، ناس قاعدين يعني ابو اخوان، ناس بقى في كراهيه، وبقى في قبليه بقى يعني زايد، وده كلها الجاب المسؤولين. لانه الشعب الجنوبي في 2011 لما كنا قاعدين في جوبا ما في حاجه بقول لك قبليه، ولا زول بقول لك انت من كده ولا انت من كده. لكن الناس دي جاء اسسوا القبليه في 2013 بطريقه كده عجيب، وبقى ماشي. بس يعني تلقى اي مجموعه داير يجي يكون رئيس، مجموعه دي داير يجي رئيس، مجموعه دي داير يجي شنو، والبلد بقى ماشي، بلد بقى ماشي خربان يا جونكور. فانا الشيء داير اقوله في الختام يا جونكور، انا بقول الشباب الجنوبيين، انتوا يا جماعه كونوا قويين. يعني الخوف نشيل الخوف ده من قلبنا. اذا في اي حاجه الناس لازم تجيب سوا، زي ما كان الشباب دول طلعوا يوم داك، ناس يجيبوا معهم ويدعموهم ويسقط الحكومه ده. لانه كير ما بعمل حاجه، كير عنده 16 سنه، 16 زول عنده 16 سنه ما عمل حاجه، ما عنده حاجه بعمله ثاني. 16 سنه ما في مدرسه، ما في شارع، ما في مويه، ما في امن، ما في شنو، حاجات دي كله ما في. ده زول ما بيقدر يعمل حاجه. كير مازقو، كير ما يقعد، كير يمشي طوال. ده هو بس الكلام اللي انا داير اقوله. وانا بقول لك شكرا، وشكرا للمشاهدين القاعدين يحضروا، والشباب القاعدين معنا في استديو، ناس موسس وانت ذاته. وان شاء الله لو في حاجه ثانيه انا بجي راعي.
Thank you, Quad Mayan, for your valid, very important contribution. I know Kunta Maana from Athens, Greek. Thank you so much. And please, don't go anywhere. We may bring you back, inshallah. With that, I want to welcome the leader of United Citizens for Change, Weldeng Attack, to our forum here. Ustaz Wal, welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. It's good to have you today. And as we discuss this, and there is Alex Wal. I don't know if you hear me, Wal.
I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, if you can hear me, Wal. Now, with the new, presidency decrees that you have watched, 2 hours ago, and I said from the beginning, Dida Kalkor won the game, because as we spoke here in this humble forum about political grouping along group of Akalkor, group of JC, group of these, and other Wendit and Kwalmanyang. Now Akalkor was resisting, the ideas that actually Kir should hand the power to Nial Deng Nial, and because he's eyeing to that power too. Now it was able to get rid of Nial Deng Nial. So is that the win? Because I was saying that Asbah Sama Majhul, I don't know what is the best description to this. So I want you to weigh in before we move to the concept of the state and the right of the citizen. Well, please go ahead.
Thank you, Ustaz Jonkor, and the viewers, our audience. I'm grateful that you are available to listen to us. First, I'll give this thank to you, Jonkor, for making this concerned citizen of South Sudan to give South Sudanese and the current generation to know themselves. And of it now, we've learned about our few brothers that actually contributed to this from the start of the view that we got to. I personally participated in it. I'm grateful for that. Great job, and we are so proud of that as well. Coming to the questions of Nial Deng Nial, or the reason the relief of the Nial Deng Nial, who was thought to be a successor of Kir. My approach is actually an opportunity too, because I was not surprised. I was not surprised for two things. One was the recent revelations coming from the group 2 of the SPLM political, former leadership council. I came to learn that Nial was brought in by the efforts of Wenakot and Kwalmanyang. Though one of them resisted it, I will not go into details because I wouldn't want them to be viewed by. One of them was mobilized by the other, said, well, Nial has been a minister for 3 times as a Minister of Foreign Affairs. He has been an advisor. Twice he has been a Minister of Defense, but we only see the traces of what he has done. Just hold a minute.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Sure.
Sorry, I had an invited guest. My son walked in. Sorry about that.
You are good.
Yeah. This kind of God showed the resistance, and the idea was that since he came into power, even the group was complaining that for the last 8 months that he has been in the office, they were not able to see President Kiir, nor were they able to see Nial himself, who was the person they brought in. And that suggested to me that Nial was leading out. The second, it was a letter written by Nial. It did not represent him. But it represented a new Nial who was desperate to cling on, because it was a lonely man now. With that letter we see, he was not with the group that brought him into power. He was facing the front of a Concord on the other side, and now isolated, he found himself alone and was trying to make efforts to link and cling himself and sing the song that were sung early by the favorite of President Kiir, like in person of McQuinworth, the way he was talking. That was the language I was seeing it, the language of Atany Bagatany, and so forth. And it was, to me, was like Nial was out. Lastly, with the song or the information that had been made public that potentials replace of Kiir was Nial, and Kiir would do anything.
One sec. So this, Valentina, if you want to be called, you gotta be friend on the list first, because I cannot send you the link unless you are a friend or you like concerned citizen of South Sudan. Then you will be able, you know, to participate in the program. But it's not like a traditional Facebook. Just you click the button and bring it in. Oh, go ahead, Sazwal.
Yeah. Nial, facing all the front, as was facilitated by one thing. Besides, Kir wanted to do everything that in his power to make sure that nobody is hurt who, by one way or another, is thought to be a replacer of him. We do all he can to make sure that you are eliminated out of the system.
Out of the way.
And that's what brought this war in South Sudan. When the SPLM members stood and decided now they are going to contest in the elections, the only way exit to protect and to label them as a people who are anti the nation was to create the war and label them as the troublemakers. And that's what keep him in power, and that's what Kir is good at. He might not give us the services that he's supposed to do as the head of the state or bring the development, but he can protect his seat using all the mechanisms in his power to make sure that you don't proceed. One of it coming to a call code and Nial, these two have been fighting. And given that I'm from Tony, I don't believe in the fight they are in. I chose to be neutral and maintain my silence because I knew it was not worth, and otherwise only the people will be divided. And all at the end, either call or Nial, they will be loser. Kir will not bring them anybody.
Yeah,
to be his replacer of some sort. But having an observer, Akol and Nial are two different personalities playing in the same field of politics of hunger. A politics where the population is starving and people look up into the political power to get the hands out in return for their support. And support is not by voting, it's about mere propaganda.
Yes.
Akol can take from the store, take a good chunk and buy it, but pass his hand behind for someone behind him to lick it. In other words, you get something to buy it, and nobody that bites the hand that feeds it. Nial started a reform agenda in the oil sector. And whatever he gets, or whatever he doesn't get, nobody gets behind. It is him, the books, and the nobles, and Kora, and lock himself out from the people. And the politics where people are starving requires others to at least benefit a little bit, even if they don't eat. Let them know that you're also suffering with them by allowing yourself to have time with them and socialize and be able to shut. He shut himself out. And he shut himself out of his supporters and the sympathy of the supporters and most of the people who stood by him. Even at the time he was blocked from coming into the country. And he has to spend 3 days in Ethiopia, in Bole International Airport in Ethiopia, on the benches. The people who brave and took soldiers in and said that let the plane land after he was blocked by some individuals. They had to leave him because one of them said that he would go into office of Nial, but he would be busy in computer and would say, LLD, what do you say? Without giving that person attention. And that person felt offended because he risked his life, risked his positions to support him into the country, but Nial was not available for him. I'm reporting another person's view, not my view. My view is this. Nial cannot, on his own, without the legacy of his father, survive with the approach that he has in this developing politics. Developing economy and a nation like or democracy as such as South Sudan. He might need to have a different approach, and it will take him a long time before he comes back. But who knows? President Kiir, full of surprises, he brought in Marial Benjamin after he declared Abiy was Sudanese and is not from South Sudan. President Kiir was angered and relieved him. Today, he brought him in as the minister.
I think what was set up, Marial have been set up that time.
Well, the document was, according to him, the document he signed, did not know that what he signed, I didn't know the content of what he signed. And he took responsibility by that. But nonetheless, that is not the key. Now, the key thing is President Kiir will not maintain or entertain anybody. Even if Logwala Duda, and he does not trust, he think, and he said that he wanted to take power without him having said it, he will deal with him and will remove him in the power. Now, let me come to the state, the question of the topic, Ustaz Jonkor, if you might allow me. The question of the state. The state has a different definitions, but it is qualified by, our context now is qualified by political states as an organized group of community with power of sovereign powers meant to serve the nation. Let's break it down. The state is organized community or a political system organized to serve the nation. Sovereignty would mean the power. I would take an example of a family as one example. A family is sovereign. What is happening inside the family of a particular neighbor belongs to that particular family, and no one should interfere except when that particular family violates the law. And that's when you will see other people coming in as like state apparatus. But let's go to our purpose. The state of South Sudan live in a specific geographical location, has one particular purpose. The state is to serve its people and has the monopoly of power, monopoly of use of force or violence to ensure the rule of law. And this comes through the rules of law in sense of the courts, the enforcement by the police, and the correctional center. That's where the powers is limited at the state. The agents of the state is the government. And the government is meant to serve the people and is elected by the people to serve them. And what does the government do while serving the state? The state are the very people that elected it, and these are the state. So what do the government do as the agent of the state? It serves the state by providing the citizen security, that no one single person will come about and kill innocent citizens. The state has a responsibility to protect the properties of the citizens of that state. It has responsibility to educate them, to provide education, to provide healthcare, to provide infrastructure, and provide a public relations with view of other states, to create an image that fosters respect toward that particular state. Like the South Sudanese state, we have the government responsibility to work within and outside South Sudan for South Sudan to handle respects from neighboring countries and countries beyond, not a laughing stock as it is today. A state has a responsibility to make sure that the citizens' efforts, products, work, or agriculture are sold, let's go to surplus, I call it rather. The surplus are sold to the neighboring countries, to the countries beyond the countries of South Sudan, such that hard currency will come in, economy improves, and the livelihood, the living standard of the citizens improves for better. Coming to the question of South Sudan, has the government of South Sudan facilitated the state of South Sudan to be successful? Well, if the state has failed to provide or to live by its purpose as it is, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of resources, provisions, in terms of provision of health services, in terms of security, then we'll literally say that the state has failed. Because the state of South Sudan has failed to provide us this thing that we are talking about as fundamentals. Another important thing, and I thanks Brother Rambiel has mentioned it, Rambang has already mentioned it earlier, is that the state provide the freedom to the citizens. In fact, good governance is a fundamental right of the citizens to get from their government. Let's look at the government of South Sudan as to conclude on the topic before I move further. Has the government of South Sudan provided the people of South Sudan basic services that the state gives its citizens? No. They took from the state the very instruments of building the state and invested in the foreign countries. And this is the resources, the oil money, the taxes that they take from the citizen. They took them and used it for their own self-development. You'll find the people in the government, they have gold investment and banking investment in South Africa, for example. You'll come to Kenya, they bought houses and took their children there, leaving the very citizens subject of the state, of the services, poor, uneducated, and traumatized by poverty. When you subject the citizen into hunger, you are stopping their brains and you are stopping their ability to think independently and serve the country effectively. I therefore say, in the area of services, the state has failed. Because if you go to Juba Teaching Hospital today, you'll be struggling to get Panadol. Before any medical practitioner is only the paper and the pen, plus the patient standing before, seeking treatment from that particular. There are no medical facilities. The multi-donor trust fund used to bring medicine to South Sudan, and the very fund that the parliament or the government have budgeted for importing medicine in South Sudan are taken and divided by the individuals, government officials, the ministers. And that's why now we do not have them now, because multi-donor trust fund cut their money when the war broke out in South Sudan. And from that till today, we do not have the medicine that are imported. Even the little that comes gets sold into the black market. Trust me, go sometime, you'll find medicines being sold on a tablia, on a table, sun, hit by sun, and civilian will buy it and go drink it without prescriptions. And you'll find the person developing complications and dies, and nobody says. You'll hear the traditional herbs. You'll find that Maasai medicine is a medicine of everything. Malaria, because it's for malaria, it's for HIV, it's for dysfunctional some sort, and everything. One medicine is described to solve 20 plus. And a poor man will just go and drink it and develop problem and died. One of my cousins recently died from the herbs being given to, as described, it would heal hepatitis. And hepatitis is the common thing in Juba now. It's very common in South Sudan. It drank it and the person died, developed complications. Why? Because the country has been opened up for anything and anyone to bring any crap and give it and sell it to the people of South Sudan and make money on our behalf. Because the government has failed to protect. And that's why people outside are tempted to say that the state of South Sudan has failed because it has failed to deliver the fundamentals duty of a state, such as to protect the citizen.
Absolutely.
Next is the defense. You would find the people of South Sudan cowering under the dark and hot rooms because they are afraid to stay outside longer because at the night, unknown gunmen might come and shoot you. So they choose to live in the heat. In the dark, there's no electricity. There's no electricity, there's no air condition. And the heat of Juba can go up to 40 degrees Celsius. But the choice between the comfort and life, they would choose to stay in. I remember when I was in Juba, shooting started. And it was very hot. And we are forced to go and stay in. A man who said that I cannot do it came out and the Talga came and hit his innocent 2-year-old daughter. And she died. You can see where the state's supposed to be. A state that has been successful, I'll give you a comparison, for example. Organized forces who carry arms are trained and the guns are put in the stores. And each soldier, given Talga Btakalan, has a number. Yeah. Every bullet has a number. And when you are given those bullets, you've given 20 or 60 or 100, they are registered with their number. And if one of them is found in a dead body, whether you stole it or is stolen, the soldier who has it is responsible for it. That is one of the mechanisms of how the state protects its citizen. You will find civilians having guns and the soldiers having AK-47, and the same AK-47 is what the civilian has. And by the way, I did say earlier, our civilians do not import guns. We don't have a manufacturer inside South Sudan that we can accuse of supplying the civilian with arms, small arms and ammunition. We only have the government of South Sudan with the capability of importing the guns into our country. But the same guns find their hands in the civilian. The government has failed to control the proliferations of the small arms, the spread of the small arms into the hands of the civilians. And that is the purpose of the state, to control the monopoly of violence, to control the monopoly of use of the tools of violence, such as guns. It has failed to do that. On the other side, or the subset of the security sector, is the fact that when ex-community or favoritism of certain groups, when one community raids the other one, the government would feel simply that it's okay and keep silent. When the other respond to it, you'll find the very civilian are shot by the government machineries. That itself is a failure to bring in the security on the equal level within the country. Therefore, the government, the state of South Sudan, has been failed by the leadership of President Salva Kiir. Let me move further to the territorial integrity of the South Sudan. You'll find today Uganda will take from South Sudan territory. And Yewon will say, well, he's our friend, we'll talk about it later. Will be discussed later on. Kenya has now not only has taken a Lemi Triangle, it has taken Nadepal. I remember during the United Sudan When you cross to Kenya, you leave your gun in Kibes, and you walk about 15 to 20 meters. 15 to 30 minutes, and you enter the Kenyan border. But now it has been left couple of kilometers away. 50 or so kilometers away from.
Excuse me.
More than half an hour. The Kenyan government is taking from the South Sudan territory. The Sudanese, we've talked about mile 14, and people say that the current vice president, excuse me, the current vice president, Hussein Abdelbagi, has given it out. I have no evidence, but I hear people saying it. Ofuranas, male 14, Kafinga Kiji. And you go to Upper Niles, you'll find Jebelin, Panthong, Stegen. As the government of South Sudan able to protect that territorial integrity of South Sudan? Definitely no, it hasn't. Because if it has, we would not have lost these areas that we've lost to other countries. Therefore, the government of South Sudan has failed to protect, or has failed the state of South Sudan as to protect the territorial integrity of the country, South Sudan. I'm almost concluding. Let's go to the productions, food productions, food security. It is a fundamental responsibility of the state to make sure that the citizens of a country are not starving. And the agent of the state, who are the administration of the President Salva Kiir, ought to have come up with policies, and that's why it is elected. Policies that would eradicate poverty. But guess what? What policy came with President Salva Kiir? After the budget has been made, he woke up overnight and said, we need to import tractors. Brought in 1,000 tractors in the name of fighting food. And they went to Belarus, bought 1945 tractors, $151,000. But the real price is $1,200, $1,500 at most, $15,000 at most. But the office of the president took $51 million US, bought broken, substandard tractors, packed them in Luri, without a spare part, without even the machineries that could be used. When the calculation is made, it is half the amount of the money that the tractors bought that were required to bring Halal or the tools that for farming. What happened? It was inflated by his office and it was bought on the basis of corruption to benefit individuals in the office of the president. And the tractors were distributed to few friends who have not been planned. You are calling your own house, so and so, don't you need a tractor? And it was given the tractor. And the tractor given to that person, it does not farm. An organized system would would first locate resources and work through the Ministry of Agriculture, through the policy framework that has already been laid down in eradicating food insecurity in the country. But he hasn't done that. You have to identify who is in need of who needs the tractor and who has the motivation, because you have to start with individual motivation and support that person to the end, not to give them just throw the tools that it doesn't use to. The best approach would be $50 million was to start with the ox farm and gradually grew to tractors. But because the ox farm does not give the big cut for individual ministers in the government, the office of the president, they have to go with a big one that gives them a huge sum of money to be taken out of South Sudan. It's stealing from the state. And by the way, stealing from the state is a crime. Running down the national economy is a treason. If you do it by purpose like you're doing today, is a treason that's punishable. And that's what the government of South Sudan is doing. They are committing treason against the state of South Sudan because they are working day in and day out to fail it. Let me come through the elections as a process of developing, of serving a state, because giving the people a chance to choose their leader is a service to the state, because you are ensuring the rule of law. I'm coming to the rule of law in this one as a reason. But first, let me talk about the elections. When the people of South Sudan wanted to go to elections, because the terms of the regional government lapsed 2 years ago, but because the people of South Sudan are so patient and resilient, they persevered 3 more years for election to take place such that they can vote in the leader they wanted. But when it dawned on the President Salva Kiir administration that he is going to lose elections, because when the SPLM was going to election, Mama Rebecca said that he's contesting. Pagana Mong was contesting. Majanga God was rumored was going to contest. Riek Machar was going to contest. Wani said no, another neb right there voice, and I will not contest. So it was the only one among the people who did not. So the president was caught by panic. He decided to send the country into the modes of war. And how did he send the country back to the war? He insisted on policy or the views that are likely or will only end in explosive disagreement. Because under a democratic state, no one would ever say, I want people to vote, or people who vote for me to show their hands so that I see who is going to vote for me. It violates the fundamental rights of the fundamental principle of universal suffrage. One man, one vote, and by secret ballot. But insisted knowing that it is going to be explosive and will lead to war and will legitimize him in power. Another thing that the leadership of the Salva Kiir has done to fail the state of South Sudan was to insist that it must be given 50%, 5% or 50, 5% of the 1,000 delegates. That is 50 solid votes for him to select and appoint. When he's given that 50 out of the 1,000, he is given numerical advantage over his competitors. And of course, the competitors will not agree to that. They resisted it, and it became explosive and resulted into war. I remember in 2015, I was there in the hall. Not as a senior member of the party, but a member of the party with privilege to observe. And traditionally, the SPLM leadership has a one way of sitting. Three of them, President Salva Kiir sit in the middle, Riek sit in the right, and Taban sit on the left as a leadership of the SPLM. But that day, it did not happen. It was President Salva Kiir and McQueen Leth sitting together. McQueen is not a member of political bureau. He's not near in any rank of the SPLM, but it was brought there that he is a specialist, sitting with the leader of the party. And he has been allowed to shut down anybody who wants to speak. I would hear and see him pointing at Riek and say, Riek, sit down. Rebecca, sit down. Everybody was shouting to them, and he was one pointing who should talk and who should not talk. And you will see President Salva Kiir looking down, and then smile. McQueen is doing exactly what he wanted to do.
That the meeting that Kiir sang, right?
Yeah.
I remember. Okay, yes.
Now, afterward, On the 15th, Bagi Jamadi with the SPLM said that we cannot continue witnessing these humiliations. A junior member of the party is lifted to the extent that he would shout at us, and he has not been legitimized by the delegation of the SPLM or by the grassroots. They decided to stay at their homes. On the December 15th, the meeting was scheduled to end around 10. But someone passed by and fired a gunshot, 3 Talga.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you might say that this is the person who triggered. But bear with me, how would that person be the trigger? Because the very building where the meeting was held and where the fire was shot was surrounded by the government forces, by Salva Kiir guard. Where would anyone go and make a fire and never caught? It was a plan to cause the war and bring the suffering that you and I and my fellow South Sudanese who are not at home, dying and suffer day in and day out. It was the result of the decision that well calculated. Even when Riek left, Riek did not want to leave, he was forced out. And I want to tell the truth, even if I don't agree with Riek, I must give him what is his due, because that is what maturity is. Do not deny somebody the right that you know it is because you don't like him or you do not agree with him. Riek did not want to leave the house. Riek was forced out by his own Nuers. Comrades say, if you stay here, we'll kill you instead of Salva Kiir killing you, and say that Young has killed you. He passed with his V8 through Gudele to Mangaten, and then the exit. And he left that his car at the river, and then crossed the river with canoe. After he was sure the mesa was overrun by forces of Matip. I mean, not Matip, by Peter Gadet. How did I know this? Kanfi Awala Denka. With Riek, some of them were told to leave. Angelina said that we cannot go with them because the situation is very hostile and very unstable. We might not be able to protect them. Let them clear you. Juba. But the government is not willing to say that story.
Wow.
Then at 2, after the meeting of Blue House, I made to decide that we need to split it up. Otherwise, the government would fall. Let's target Nuer. The Nuer were targeted in Juba. Fimia Saba, Fimangaten, they were killed. Some were removed from their vehicles wearing uniform of police and shot because they were Nuer. For the simple is that to divide the people of South Sudan, such that the government would not fall. Instead, turning against its citizen, or the government turning against itself or against the citizen of the country, that itself is a big failure on the side of the government of South Sudan. And they managed to divide us, because when our brothers and sisters from the Nuer area heard that their brothers and sisters were killed in Juba, they turned and killed innocent citizens in Bor, in Akobo, in Malakal, and in Unity State. And the hell broke rules. On this side, the government has failed to serve the state by creating war that kill innocent citizens. Why then would we not accept on this area the government of South Sudan will not deliver anything positive beyond what he has already shown us? Let me go back to the rule of law, then I will conclude to give my brothers a chance to speak.
But before you go to rule of law, Ustaz will attack.
Yes.
Now, it has been 4 years and a couple months since I started talking here. It's not because I went to school to study here, but I didn't know the guy since 2012, how he's running the country. And that's where I fall out from supporting him. The incident of Wow. When the incident people were shot in Wow in that protest, that's where I, withdraw my support. When a general and the police was shot in Yambio in 2009. And I attended the funeral, actually, memorial in Utah, here in the United States. So now, people of South Sudan, if they did not know before, anyone that, and you said this clearly, anyone that thinking about the power, or I'm interested, anyone that dreaming to become a president of South Sudan, Kir will have problem with that person. He has shown since day one. Now, again, there were voices of Owen Accord, of Kwalmanyang, and others. They were talking. You know what? We should just bring in Nial because things are fall apart for a very long time. But look now what Salva Kiir has done. Look what he has done. Because he knew people actually thinking Nial can take this. We know that Nial is lazy. We know that. But because he's not that clear with the crime that committed in the country, people were thinking that, oh man, we should let Nial, you know, just get us out of this mess because internationally is well respected. Look now what Kiir has done. Because people are thinking that guy, and that guy is thinking about my chair, I'm going to remove it. So now, is people of South Sudan still thinking that Kalam Nehna Gulu for a long time ago, in Kiir want to remain in power until he die? Are they going to say that it's just a joke, what we have been saying? Monjang are going to say that, and we have said this for a very long time. In Rankana, he just want to die in power. That's what he want, nothing else. Right?
You see,
go ahead.
Just to, since 2011, Salva Kiir has always been 71. He would tell you 71 or 69. He will never agree that he is 80 something plus. I met him. Conversation was not about me or with him. It was him and one other person. Salva Kiir was 71.
The bigger 21, but our sister sometimes
71 years old. He was 71 years old. And the following year, it was the same 71. And here today, President Salva Kiir is not able to cross Jabu when he visited Bor. The tradition to Nasdenga Yabu Bull, Gabala Bao, he has to cross over it. But he's not able to cross. And then he moved to the other side before, and then it will be slaughtered. It's not because he's sick. He's getting old and he's losing muscles density. So Salva Kiir wanted to continue to lead the country until he dies in it. And least of all is Nial he can give power to. He would rather he can give it to somebody else, but not Nial. Because he think Nial doesn't have what it takes. He believes he is better than Nial. He believes even some Malone can run the country better than him. These are not my words, are his own words. The last person Salva Kiir will give power to will be Nial. It doesn't matter how much you try to please him. You can give it to a Kolkor, I would say yes. You can give it to Malone. You can even, I doubt when you can give it to Wani. I doubt. That's one, I leave it for another day.
Go ahead.
The right of the people of South Sudan is in their own right. Dr. John Garang said, your right can never be given to you like Hakshil, Hakbutak. You take it. It's the people of South Sudan to reach out and claim what is their rights. Take for a simple example, it is your right to be respected. You don't beg people to respect you. You command the respect by the way you handle yourself and the way you call for it. In the same way, it is our right as a citizen of South Sudan to get good governance. And the good governance can never be given to us by Salva Kiir. Before I come to that conclusion, before I go to my last one, let me talk about how the government work to serve the state by enforcing the rule of law and no rule by law. The rule of law makes everybody in the country equal. Mafi, Arami, but there's no difference between the pickpocketer and the white collar somebody sitting in the office stealing the public fund. Kulmanetnin the haramin, that thieves.
Haramia, yes.
And when they're stealing the money, they could be punished by law. The difference is the degree of how long the person will be sentenced. But you leave one thief that is stealing millions and crippling the nations, and you come and punish the pickpocketer in the market, then you are not serving the rule of law in the country. If you are going to use the constitutions to state that according to the powers bestowed upon me by the constitution X and Y, I therefore appoint so-and-so or remove so-and-so, and do not respect the other aspect of the constitution that does not favor you, but it favors the citizen, such as the freedom of speech, such as the right to assemble, then you are simply ruling by the rule by law, not the rule of law. The rule of law is a fundamental principle of the democracy in any developed nations and developing countries as well. The rules of law would expect the institution of government, such as the national security, for example, to abide by the principle of the constitutions, by the principle of bills of rights, by protecting the nation of South Sudan, not individuals' leader. Like, for example, I think, for example, the national security is a militia of the Salva Kiir. It's not a national security. It's a militia of Salva Kiir because when one individual citizen sit in his own private rooms to criticize President Salva Kiir, the national security will hear it and will capture that person, arrest and humiliate that individual. But when the same another person sit in the public office and steal millions of the South Sudanese and stash it abroad, the national security will not see it. When someone goes and kills a critic of the government, it's called a known gunman. But when somebody opposed, either pick up the arm and they call them they are rebels, and they must be fought and killed. The national security is only serving one person, that is President Salva Kiir and few executives. And it's not the nation of South Sudan that it is serving.
Go ahead.
That's why I think of it as a militia. Another militia is Tiger. Tiger is only defending Salva Kiir and is getting the salary as opposed to the regular army. The national security is paid every month, and the national national army, like SSDF, South Sudan Defense Force, are not paid under the same time as the others. You see, I therefore call them militia, but are Salva Kiir. If institution of governance like national security is an important institution, it should be independent, but it should never be used as a defense mechanism or tool for individuals' leader. You come to Mahakama, for example, let's say judiciary. The only purpose that I'm seeing the judiciary is doing perfectly now is for Chandrai to come and swear in the new appointees. Like tomorrow, you see them going in. You write a petition, it will not be heard. The petition of 10 states, 28 states was filed by Lamakol and was never heard of until Salva Kiir decided to reduce the number of states. The independent or legal-minded lawyers or judges are either suppressed or are forced out of the country. The fundamental duty of a lawyer is to represent a client in the court of law, to provide justice through representations. But when Samuel Dong represented as a lawyer, represented Paganamon, and he won the case, he was exiled in 2012. And he had to leave away because he was going to be killed. Agong Makur had to leave because he could not survive if he had continued to be there because he represented him in the court. Samuel Dong was followed all the way to Nairobi, kidnapped, brought to Blue House, taken to Luri, and executed, and the body burnt into ashes by gases. This is not a rule of law. It is even beyond the rule by law. It is a total anarchy. This is a big failure. The government of South Sudan against the state of South Sudan. That's why I consider them as a people who have committed treason against the state of South Sudan. Because such behaviors are against the law and they overthrow the constitutions of the country. And such behaviors qualifies for treason. Then I'll come to my fellow South Sudanese. After all this, the way we see them moving today, and they will continue the way you are seeing the state of South Sudan is going, humiliation after another, violations of principle of the constitutions, and violation of your basic rights as citizen of South Sudan. What are you going to do? It draws me back to the questions raised by our brother Konmayan. Would the Blue House be filled by entire country or just one section of the estate, like half of Gudele or quarter of Hayasora? If we all go and command our rights, would the government of South Sudan kill every one of us? No. Currently, the government of South Sudan, through its national security, is using one means to suppress you and I. If you are individuals that are standing up and you say, I wanted to speak on behalf of the people, they'll first look for your income. The source of your income, and they will make sure that you will not continue having it. They have the audacity to go even to the NGOs and make sure that you are fired there. They even threaten some NGOs of denying them access to the country because X and Y they are being employed there. Because we're acting individuals. They will either take individuals and kill them. But if it is the entire nation coming together and march to the street of J1, and march to the street of Amarat, and march to John Garang Museum, and demand the exit of these people, this suffering will come to an end. You will have a government by the people and for the people, as one famous American president did say. You will have the clean drinking water straight to your homes. You'll be able to access the clean drinking water. You will not have to send your wife, your daughter, your son to go and fetch water miles away from you. We'll have electricity that is being used against you, is taking the money from the state money, millions of dollars that was taken in form of loan from African Bank. And this fund is going to be used, is being paid by the government of South Sudan back through the taxes and through the oil revenue. But here it has been handed over to a foreign businessman to tax when you more, and you are paying, for example, every day you go to buy kilos. You buy them using money. Where does that money come from? Go to. And now it is being switched off. You will have your own electricity in the house. You'll have a fair share of pay. Not that exploitation that you're getting today is not what you're going to get. Again, if you help to sacrifice and bring the change that the people of South Sudan need, your child will get a better education. Your child will not suffer illiteracy and poverty, struggling at night with candles to read in the heat of Juba. Your house will have electricity, your child will have a better education and will be able to come back home and do his homework or read using the electricity. You will travel at peace because the chain will collect the guns from the hands of civilians, not by going and collect them and put them into the store and tomorrow take it back and sell it to them. It will do a permanent change, and I'm believing after this change, there will be no single civilian carrying an authorized arm. You will move the way you used to move to visit your cousins, your friends, and the government become the central enforcer, and also the state will be only entity with monopoly of use of violence through and within the law. The state can send somebody to prison, hang somebody want to, or whatever the state have agreed to, but not individuals taking up the arm and kill the community and kill citizens the way it is happening today. You will have freedom of movement. You will sleep soundly without fear that your life is going to be taken away. You speak up your mind when the government is not making good decisions on your behalf, and you will be free to go about making your own income without anybody sitting in front of you and block you because you have an opinion last week. The government would be able, the chain rather, would be able to bring in hospitals, attract qualified medical personnel and facilities in the country for your own benefit and for your own services. This current government of Salva Kiir will not do it. It will defend the territory of South Sudan. It will work to create a good image outside such that South Sudan will not be sanctioned again, will not suffer arm embargo because the arms that come into the country are being used to kill innocent citizens. And the international community had to stop it, to step in to block the arm coming to South Sudan, therefore making South Sudan weak and unable to defend itself. We can improve our image outside South Sudan. But only one thing is needed of you and me: unity, the people of South Sudan, and together we can bring the change the nation requires. I know a lot, I have a lot to say, but I will not say everything now. I'll leave some of my colleagues will be able to say it. Unless there's a question, Ustaz Jankor, I will stop here.
I don't have any question, Ustaz Walatak. It's so phenomenal. You did a very well presentation enlightening our people about their rights and what it needed exactly to get those right. You don't beg them. It is yours, and you take them. Thank you so much, Walatak, for that. And then I will turn to my dear brother, Moses. But before I do that, I want to give a warning to our viewers, those who are making hateful warning. I already blocked a fellow, actually, who was writing really, really derogatory here. Just be careful. If you write any hateful, you are out. I don't please people. We are here to interact. We love our country. We care. I love you. You should do the same thing. You should love me back. If you don't have to love me, you don't have to like me, but I will not allow you to write a hateful comment in this very humble show. That person I just banned him right away. His name is Caesar, something Pakwa, whatever, It's out there. So that's the one. So thank you so much, Walt. And Moses, let's hear from you. And I want my brother Charles to come back. I know it take long time. If you want a break, we can go ahead for 3-minute break. If you don't mind, Moses, can we do a break, or you just want to continue?
Yes, you can give the viewers 3 minutes break for the song.
Let me go ahead and play, song by Dynamic. I know.
I love Dynamic song.
I know we are mourning our sister who we lost last week, and also we are mourning the figures. The most respectful Archbishop of Juba, Paulina Lekudu, who died, last week. Also is a loss for the nation of South Sudan. Paulina Lekudu has done a lot. I remember when we were in Khartoum, when he had, to lead, for Eucharist and big conference. I remember one day when he was talking and he said, "Ana kunta fi Juba mbare, lakin ana ja, lakin lisa fi mataro nak, mataro genazil." He meant that when the SPLM was doing shelling, Juba. So he has done a lot. He helped a lot of students, a lot of people. So may his soul rest in peace. He's a man of peace. Of course, he was a true Christian, a loving, a caring South Sudanese who care for his people. So let me go ahead and dedicate this song to him, and also to Dynamic and our sister Trisha C. Let's do that. It's going to be just only 3 minutes. We'll be back.
This one is South Sudan Voices, brought to you by Ruka Music. Oh, na, na, na. Mashaki gati fidu yade anagi kore selile rabuna aula tena kulumendo baba
Wabana tena waduru mama
abuto mon mutu jalo mon fikaba ulio umon gikore le asan kankali abuto mon girita wokyalde satu mind to mama wele papa yalde balato sambala banate mayendi sabi yalde balato sambala banate mayendi sabi aulade raba bigatakian banade kulu talakasila kedeni na teresu yatanina makili matarabuna ashan yalde satumenu baba
Zamatangani takes a village to raise a child. Kanita ainu iyalal bilanga sambale with the advice. Nas bishaja for the late iyalgali, it's that rise. We all there, Mondaru salam.
abuto mon mutu jado mon figaba uluya mon gikorele
Mika wijin, Mire tiamuranto, Mire kankojoben.
yate balato sambala banade mayendi sabi yate balato sambala
Banade,
mayendi sabi Yade, I know that to woman men do like they are good. Abuzatu men like they are good. Mama, say mama, mama, say mama. Last girl na say kiru le talent bed. Le ano talent be bada be. Oh, come on, Selena Zekir Leal. Arsibu Bilanga Pita. Ana Asuma, Bin Mayibu Badu. Ana Asuma, Junubin Bikatulu Badun. Mama wake up, Ana Bibi Uminwen. Yakwani, oh yeah, Muhammad Bekam, Ana Bibi, Minway, Yale, Dedulo Montafi, Yale, Dedulo Montespan, Yale, Dedulo Montmadaris, Tayal Giwaja Futujara Densa. Wala kil kolona, Manu kolona, Madaris kolona. Ude yang suli ya kanina.
Mama, Baba, Yakamingimu, Kamita Koda. Musulia, ay, Hialde Maliga Musulia, Tabele, Tomande.
Serious thing.
Hialde Maliga Mustafa, Lakida, Pikida
The liquor youth need a liquor attention. The liquor youth need meditation. Enough of them want cooperation. That's how we need in our nation. Just go to the world of peace. Everyone work together for peace. We need to live together with peace. Rastaman speak to the world about peace. Y'all been set to mind, Papa. Y'all been set to mind, Mama. Muto mon muto jana mon fikaba. Kuliyom, kumon bikorele. Kumanaidu mama. Aidu baba. Kumanaidu mama. Aidu mama. Kumanaidu mama. Aidu mama. Muto mon muto jana mon fikaba.
These are the voices of South Sudan. Brought to you by
Thank you and welcome back. With that, dear brother Moses Makir, I want to give you that opportunity to go ahead and weigh in. Moses, fadal. You muted yourself. Go ahead and unmute. Okay.
Thank you for reminding me.
Of course.
Ustad Jonkor, I would like to thank you for this great show and very rich topic. We can discuss it even for part 1, part 2, or even to part 3, and it's very crucial topic. I would like also to greet all the respected viewers and the members of the United Citizen for Change and the Concerned Citizen Forum. I would like to thank my brother, the main guest, Biel Rambang. He did so well. Thank you, Jonkor, and I would like you to extend my thanks to him if you call him. He came on time, and I was really excited. He came just 10 minutes when you started the show, which is a great thing.
He was in the studio, actually.
Yeah, that's really good. We have to respect the time of the people instead of allowing the citizen to wait for the guest. That's why we come early and wait. So we don't want you people to wait for us. Thank you, Biel. And I would like to thank World Attack. He has given us a lot of insight. He has defined the question of the state very well and talk about the role and the rights and the duties of the citizen. I'm going to elaborate more, but if you want to ask a question, you can ask, but I'm aware of the topic. I've shared it yesterday. So thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Ustad John.
And actually, before you go ahead, if you want to just give your perspective from, the political decrees that are happening in Juba, and then you add it up, because this thing, it came when we were prepared to go live, and then I listened, and then it became part of our discussion as well. So go ahead, Moses.
Ustad Jonkor, thank you so much. We are following the events of J1 every day. Though we are not there right now physically, but with the technology, with the support of the people that are supporting the concerned citizen of South Sudan, we get the information. And by the way, in J1, there is no secret. Let me remind you people of J1, even in Bulo House, there is no secret. So what I can say is this. People need to understand why Nyal Deng Nyal was taken. Jonkor, I'm very sure you know, and all of us in the United Citizen for Change, we have discussed a lot of scenarios before.
But Moses, I saw Julia Paul, if you don't mind, because of the network, can we give her just a few minutes? Because I know she's going to weigh in really quick.
I would be more than happy. We need to see the women and girls to come to join us, and I don't really mind.
جوليا
give us the
جوليا
chance.
اهلا بك. ممكن كمان نحن نسمع منك قبل ما نحن نستمر مع اخ موسس. جوليا تفضلي.
مساء الخير عليكم، كيفكم؟
الحمد لله بخير، تفضلي.
ايش عليكم؟ كيفكم انتوا عاملين كيف؟
كويسين نشكر ربنا.
اوكي، بالمناسبة انا من قبلك ما تعبانة معاكم، لكن خايف ونشكر ربنا نحن بنتكلموا.
نعم.
طبعا انا بدي افهم موضوع عشان اقدر اخش كويس.
يا جوليا نحن بنتكلم عن يعني مثلا مفهوم الدولة وحق المواطن ومسؤولية الحكومة نحو المواطنين. الحلقة نحن بنتكلم يعني المواطن في البلد. مفهوم الدولة شنو ذاته؟ تفضلي. سامعيني يا جوليا؟
الو
يا انت سامعيني؟ سمعت السؤال يا جوليا؟
والله كان شبكة بس قطع كده. قلت شنو؟
انا قلت نحن بنتكلم عن مفهوم الدولة يعني ما هي حق المواطن، حقوق المواطنين شنو في البلد، ومفهوم الدولة شنو ذاته.
اوكي، كلامك حلو يا استاذ جونكور. نحن
Yeah, unfortunately, network is not good for Julia today.
أنا ما قاعد أسمع صوت بتاعه يا أستاذ جونكور.
Yeah, نحن ما سامعين صوت جوليا. معلش نحن يمكن we can connect مثلا في بعدين.
By telephone, if she try again, you can allow her. Yeah.
Go ahead, Moses.
Thank you, Jonkor. It's good to give women a chance or chances because they are the majority in South Sudan and they are the ones suffering more than the men in the country. So I respect women, and I'm a son of a single mother. So every time I respect women. Because women are the one holding the country, not the government, as I'm speaking. Nasawin ta shaidel, nasawin beta matayim, yaw gadin yam sugu, yaw masigin al balad. Ma nas jawan del kulu arami abas, gadin yasru gurush wadum barra. Let me go back. People need to understand why Nyal Deng was replaced by Dr. Barnaba. By President Kiir. It was not Kiir's intention actually to appoint Honorable Nyal Deng Nyal to be the minister to deal with the presidential affairs. Because since the revolution days before the CPA was signed in 2005, President Kiir has issues with Nyal Deng Nyal because Nyal Deng Nyal is one of Garang boys. If people can remember the political discourse within the SPLM between Garang boys and President Kiir boys. And at the end, President Kiir boys won and they kick out Garang boys, including Pagan, including Nyal Deng Nyal. They were marginalized at some point. So President Kiir looked at Nyal Deng Nyal as Garang boy, and because he think that he was mistreated by Dr. John at some stage because Dr. John wanted to bring up Nyal Deng Nyal. And Dr. John was upfront in 2005 after the CPA was signed by both Dr. John and President Kiir himself. Dr. John said to President Kiir, and if I'm lying, you can ask President Kiir or others. They will tell you what I'm saying is true. Dr. John said, President Kiir, Gerald Kiir, I would like you to go for a study leave for studies. Go and complete your studies. And then after that, you will come. And President Kiir looked at this and he consulted Bwana Malwal, his political godfather that he consults all the time to help him make decisions. And Bwana Malwa told him, Abel, don't accept that. Don't accept what Dr. John Garang is telling you. Dr. John Garang want to replace you, want to kick you out after the peace when you've been fighting there. So don't accept to go to any universities in East Africa to go and study and come back after the interim period. Don't accept. So President Kiir thought, okay, they want to bring up Nial to replace him and other people like Dengalor, Olgar and boys. So Dr. John was open with the President Kiir. By then, President Kiir was just a general. But President Kiir did not look into the advice in with a long-term perspective. He would have now finished his master's or his whatever studies, and he would have been a better president after the interim period. But he refused. So people maybe have short memories. Nial has been seen as the replacement of Salva Kiir by Dr. John. But also Dr. John loved Salva Kiir. But Salva Kiir refused to learn. He refused to learn in the last 21 years from President Kiir. And Dr. John wanted to compensate him, say, you go and study. And Dr. John was doing well with his comrades. Unlike President Kiir now, he's not doing well with all his comrades. Other people that President Kiir consider as Garang boys is General Thomas Cirillo. By the way, Thomas Cirillo is a nationalist. He loves South Sudan, though he's not innocent from the corruption. But he loves South Sudan. He was given money when they want to capture Juba. Dr. John gave him money to go and marry. He refused to marry, and he bought uniform to soldiers with his own money. So I have my respect for Thomas Cirillo in terms he loved the country, but yes, he has some issues with corruption. The same thing with Nial. Nial loves the country, but he has issues with corruption as well. And the weakness of Nial is that he doesn't know when to talk. He talk at wrong times. Like when he wrote the letter responding to Peter Biar testimony in the Senate, that's the wrong time for him to come up and speak. He should have just kept quiet and let Akolko respond and President Kiir. Now he responded, he has been used, now they dump him. Let's pray for him. Maybe God is doing something. God of his father's legacy will bring him up again. Maybe after President Kiir has gone, but not now. The second thing, Akolko has managed to win because Nial is working hard in the Rome peace agreement to bring Malong and Pagan back to Juba. And they want to destroy Nial. Nial was going to be successful to convince Pagan and Malong. And General Akolko does not want to see Malong in Juba or Pagan. So he Gabal Nial mai khadabo fahu fatar be Nial deng Nial. So Akolko fatar be Nial deng Nial tarado before Nial deng managed to kick Akolko out. So that's what I can say, Usa Jonkor, concerning the reshuffling. And as I said, every time President Kiir is ruling the country through presidential decrees, that's the only thing he can offer.
So I'm just a little bit confused. Why Valentino, whatever they call it, yeah, thank you, Gordon. Why she's insulting me? You know, she sent me a really bad. I cannot read it to our viewers on the messenger. It's really. These are the ones that, you know, really supporting the government. If they have this kind of language,
I would urge you not to respond.
I think she's ashamed. You know, that's shame on her, and that's shame to be an intellectual to use this kind of language. You know, insulting me to that extent. I don't know. I'm not gonna read it to our viewers. We gotta be better than her, you know. But I thought maybe anything to Gornum, she would know much better, you know, because
you never know. Maybe somebody has hacked her account, or maybe
that's her. That's her.
Using her. If it is her, of course, she is in Juba. She has to do something. Recently, she even insulted President Kiir. You know, President Kiir is practicing prostitution.
Yeah, go ahead. And anyway,
so we don't have time. We don't have time to defend ourselves, Jonkor. And in the United Citizens for Change, we are not coming here to defend ourselves. You can insult us, insult Jonkor as you want. We are here to defend the rights of the people. Yeah. The interest of the people of South Sudan is bigger than responding to those less understanding supporters of government of President Kiir. They will not rail us from talking. The more they hit us, the more we expose the worst part of President Kiir regime. It's good for us. The more you write all this nonsense, we will hit harder, because you want to destroy us using lies, but we will destroy you and your regime using the truth. Yeah. Well, let's go back to our topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
So thank you, Jonko. Don't respond to not her alone, anyone. Don't respond to them. The people will judge what you are doing and what they are doing. Let me go to the concept of a state, DOLA. And I'll go to Arabic basit also, so others can understand. Ma hiya DOLA. In my perspective, Jonkor, the state and citizen, they are all fitting in one concept. The concept of state include the concept of citizenship or being a citizen. And for people to know, the definition was already said, but I will just say the state is an organized political entity that has the specific land, I mean geographical land. So land is very important to understand the concept of the state, DOLA, few art, the land, the people, and the government and sovereignty. So these four key concepts explain to us what a state is. Most people know, but some people don't know. That's why we have to say them. So a state means you have a land, a specific land, in like South Sudan land, and it has borders. And you have the people, and people mean citizen. So it is the same question in my perspective. State and citizen, they all fit, citizen fit inside the state. So الدولة يعني هي الأرض زي أرض بتاع جنوب السودان والشعب والحكومة والسيادة. يعني دولة أربع حاجات. If one is missing, or if one is being abused, like the citizen, the right of the citizen has been abused, or we have the mismanagement issue of land grabbing, or we have a failed government, then we can say that there is a failed state. عشان كده Sudan, جنوب Sudan تلقاه في list بتاع failed state. And people need to know what are the criteria, what make a state to be a failed state, and what make other state to be a successful state. It is those four concepts that I have just said. The land, how they are managing their lands, and including the resources in the land, and the people, which is the citizens. Are they respecting the citizen rights? And the government, is the government, did the people choose the system of governance? Which way do they should they be governed? هل الناس الشعب بتاع جنوب السودان اختار كيف عشان يحكمهم في البلد؟ وهل هم اختاروا منو يحكمهم؟ These are the questions. If you answer them, you can say this state is a failed state or not a failed state. So when people say South Sudan is a failed state, there are reasons, and those reasons, that's what we are talking about here. And that's why it is very important to explain to the citizens the concept of a state. مفهوم الدولة ما هي دولة. That's what I can say in Arabic, and I will continue in English, and I may mix it if it is necessary. But if we look at the Constitution of South Sudan, for those who have the copies, I only have the soft copy. Look at chapter 2. It will talk about the duties, the rights, and the responsibilities of a citizen of South Sudan. And that is where you need to go to. Nobody can read the whole Constitution, but we can refer to section, to article in the Constitution. So I would like to refer to that chapter 2, page 15 and page 16 talks about the responsibilities and the rights of the citizens. And this is what I need to talk much about, because Wall and others, they have talked about the concept of a state. What is a state in details? So in the Constitution, if you look at Article 46, Section 2, Section 1 and 2, subsection A said, every citizen shall in particular depend the country, which is the land, depend the land and the people and the government and the sovereignty. So every citizen has the ultimate responsibility. So I would like to talk about responsibilities before rights. And I will tell you that the citizens of South Sudan are the best citizens in all East Africa or all Africa. For the last 54 years, they have been doing their responsibilities, their duties. It is the government that is not respecting the citizen rights. For example, I will take you back to history. Before the independence of South Sudan, the people of South Sudan, they love their land, they love each other as the people, and they respect Akuma Suker Zamanda, and they have sovereignty. Though Jalaba was manipulating us, but the people of South Sudan have not changed. They were able to defend what is in the Constitution, that is said that the ultimate responsibility or a duty of a citizen, a responsible citizen, must defend the land and the people. And South Sudanese did it. Since 1951, since 1955 up to 1972, about 17 years, South Sudanese have been defending their land and their people, their properties. That can show you that our people, they are responsible citizens. And Nyanyawan, they did it. They defend the country without salaries. And even in 1983, up to 2005, when the CPA was signed, for 22 years, our citizens, they were defending the land and the people and the properties of South Sudan. They gave their cattle, they gave their children, Aswad and Jejamar, to defend the land. Those our fathers and our brothers and grandfathers who gave their cattle, whatever they have contributed, even sorghum and any food that they have contributed or given their kids to be Jejamar, that to me is is an evidence, that empirical evidence, that our citizens of South Sudan are responsible citizens. For 17 years, during Abilaler and Joseph Lago, they did it without payment. No, they were not enjoying any rights. They were just doing the duty. For Dr. John Garang, for work at Dr. John Garang, Shah Batana, Nadolo, Dafo Al-Art wal Bellet. For Anagada Shub, المواطنين بتاع جنوب السودان ناس مسؤولين. They are responsible citizens. Because if they can defend their land, في Anyanya 1, 17 years plus 22 years, plus the 15 years that President Kiir has wasted. From 2005 up to now, 2021, another 15 years. So if you add 17 years plus 22 years of Dr. John, plus 15 years of President Kiir that he has wasted, it is the citizens of South Sudan, the citizens of South Sudan that are depending, that are giving to the government. They are the one giving their kids, their goods, their properties, their everything for SPLA or for Anyanya 1 or Anyanya 2. So there is no way that these public looters can doubt that our citizens are not responsible, they are lazy, they don't want to work. No, the citizens of South Sudan have not failed. They have never failed. Min Anyanya 1, le Anyanya 2, le Asher, but independent, Motinin Batana, Nas Mosulin. They are very responsible citizens. What we don't have is the responsible government. So it is the government that is not responsible. It has nothing to do with the people. Now the people are being betrayed and the victims are being blamed by these public looters in the government. That citizen Batana, they just want rights, they don't want responsibility. That is a lie. A big lie. Junubin, they were not interested in their rights. They were interested in what they can do to their country. For that 54 years. 54 years is a half a century. Yeah, Jonkor. People are giving for liberation, for protecting the land. They never get something back, except being insulted, except being raped, except being killed, except being humiliated. That's what they are getting back from their government. And when people respond, then you call them rebels. Then Nanadel, you call us rebels. We are more nationalists. I'm more nationalist than a Kolkor. I can say this. Jonkur is more nationalist than a Kolkor. Moses Kurkuju is more nationalist. Wall attack all the members of UCC. Emmanuel Ajawin is more nationalist than a Kolkor. You see, Edward Achek is more nationalist than a Kolkor. You see, and more nationalist than those less understanding government supporters that write their cheap comments here to insult us. So the citizens have been betrayed. The citizens have done the duty of the citizen in the Constitution, in page 16 and page 17, page 14 and page 16 of the Constitution of South Sudan. So if the citizens have done their duty of being a citizen, then who is the problem here? The problem is the government. So the land has no problem in our state. It's just being mismanaged. Mismanagement that we talk about as one of the four evils. The land has been mismanaged. That's why we have land grabbing. That's why some of our brothers and sisters in Equatoria are complaining because they have seen mismanagement of the land.
Moses, you can go ahead and wrap it back because I see Julia, she's back.
Let's hear talk. I'm not sure about her internet capacity, but my internet is pretty good, so give her the chance. I always come here and talk. Give her the chance.
Okay. Julia, بتسمعنا؟
قال اسمعكم معي.
يا انترنت بقى كويس خلاص نديك مجال عشان تقول كلام ده تقوله قبل.
اوكي.
يا تفضل.
اوكي كلام انا داير اقوله يا اخواني، داير اوصل صوتي كأنا مواطن بتاع جنوب السودان. نحن الشعب بتاع جنوب السودان ناقصين حاجات كتير، لكن نحن محمشين وخايفين. في زول نحن أصواتنا لو وصلناه كله أنا متأكد أي شيء بيصادر في جنوب السودان، لكن خوف ما بخلي زول يقدر يعمل حاجة. الشعب بتاع جنوب السودان خايفين، لكن ما في حاجة كويس رئيس قاعد يعمل لهم ولا أعضاء القاعدين مع الرئيس ده، ما في حاجة كويس في جنوب السودان، لكن هم خايفين. يعني حتى النساء تعبانين، ما لاقين راحة في حياتهم. أنا هسه أنا ما مرتاحة بوصل صوتي لين أخاف. إذا خفت ده منو يقدر يجي يتكلم عني؟ ده منو بيجي بيقول لي بيوجعني كده؟ لكن انت لو انت عيان مشان للدكتور بتقول للدكتور انا عيان عندي كده يقدر يعالجك. لكن نحن الشعب جنوب السودان بنسكت ل 200 نحن ساكتين يا اخواني. نحن تعبانين، اولادنا ما عندهم مدارس زي الناس، ما عندنا خدمات تنمية في جنوب السودان ما في. نحن بنسكت ل 200 يا شعب بتاع جنوب السودان. يا نساون بتاع جنوب السودان اسمعوني، انا هسه مرة وانا ضعيفة، لكن شنو انا بوصل صوتي، ربنا بيقف معي عشان يقدروا يعملوا حاجة انا دايره. لكن نسكتوا كده ل 200. مستشفيات ما في، عيالنا بموتوا سنبلة، ما في امن زي الناس في جنوب السودان. اولادنا 24 ساعة بموتوا سنبلة ساكت، ما في حتى زول بموت ايام. لو عندك صداع بتموت في جنوب السودان. ناس اللي عندهم ميدة بموتوا، ما عندنا مستشفيات، زلط ما عندنا حاجات كتير يا جماعة. حتى نساوين تعبانين 24 ساعة. نحن كصوت بتاع امرأة كان طلع الليلة في جنوب السودان، نساوين قالوا نحن بقينا تعبانين وما دايرين رئيس الفوق ده. أنا متأكد نحن بنوصل قدام، والسلفة ده حينزل من ما في. لكن نحن ساكتين كنساوين. صوت بتاع امرأة ما في، صوت بتاع شباب ما في. ليه بتخافوا؟ السلفة ده هو ذاته ما إنسان زينا، هو زول بخاف ذاته. لو خوفوا هسه بخافوا بينزل بيقدر بخلي لنا مجال لزول بيجي بيمسك جنوب السودان بيوصلوا لنا لقدام. لكن نحن بنسكت ل 200 يا اخواني. انا لو في نساوين بيسمعوني انا ما داير عشان نحن نسكتوا، دارنا نوصلوا اصواتنا ليس الفقير ما يرضي. كان نحن النساء بتاع جنوب السودان تعبانين جعانين، لكن لو قعدنا خافوا انا متاكد ما في حاجه بيحصل، ما في حاجه بيحصل حاجه كويس. في ناس بدافعوا عننا، وفي ناس ربنا ده ممكن ناس جهز لنا زول اللي بيقدر بيجي يمسك جنوب السودان كويس. لكن لو نحن ساكتين بيجيبوا لنا كيف؟ بيجيبوا لنا كيف يا اخواني؟ ما بيقدر بيجيبوا لنا كويس. فنحن لازم نوصل الصوت بتاعنا كنحن نساوين يا جماعه. نحن تعبانين، اولادنا تعبانين. انا وجعني شديد، حاجه الوجعني شديد في جنوب السودان ده موت ساكت ده. امن زي الناس ما في، قروش قاعدين ياكلوا. انا هسه يومين ديل في خرطوم هنا ده في ناس جو، حتى يسير عبد الباقي جا هنا في روتانا هوتيل. ناس صف بتاع النساوين كان مشيت صف زي صف بيمشي بوزع قروش ده قاعد يلقاهم وين؟ ده قروش بتاع جنوب السودان. نحن ما دايرين قروش، دايرين يعملوا تنميه لنا في جنوب السودان. دايرين تنميه، نحن ما دايرين يوزعوا لنا 20 مليون يعني حاجات كده. الف يزول يديك 20,000 10,000 هيعمل لك شنو؟ ما عندك مستشفى، هتاكل بكره وبكره ترجع. لكن لو الرؤساء بتاعنا ديل احترموا بينا فنحن ما عندنا مشكله. ما اي مره يمشي يدو 20,000 وخلاص موضوع انتهى. يا مره طلع صوتك عشان يقدر يعملوا لك مستشفى في البلد. يعملوا لك مدارس لاولادك. بيتكم يمشي قدام. في بلدان باقين فاتوا قدام، نحن لسه قاعدين ورا كجنوب السودان. ليه نحن بنسكتوا؟ انا ده قاعد يوجعني شديد يوم ده. اول امبارح ده الناس فاتوا الروتانا هنا ده يسير عبد الباقي، وانا قاعد في خرطوم ويسير هسه قاعد في خرطوم. جا في مؤتمر الصافي نساوين لما كل في هلا ماشيين يدوم 10,000 وماشيين يدوم 20,000 وفرحانين. خلاص جنوب كويس، جنوب ما كويس. وصلوا الاصوات بتاعكم يعمل لكم تنميه في جنوب السودان. ده صوتي وانا قاعد اتكلم وانا زهجان. ليه بلدنا يبقى زي ده؟ وليه ناسنا يبقى زي ده؟ ليه نشتغل بمصالح؟ كان ادوك حاجه بسيط معناته خلاص الفقير كويس. لو ادوك حاجه بسيط معناته خلاص جنوب السودان كويس. جنوب السودان ما كويس. انا بقول كلام ده، جنوب ما كويس. نحن دايرين تنميه في البلد، دايرين بلد بتاعنا يمشي قدام. عندنا خيرات زي ما زمان جونجران قال بلدنا فيه خيرات، لكن زول اللي بيقدر بيوزع يوم ما فيه، وده شيء انا عرفته. زول اللي بيوزع حاجات ما في. الفقير ذاته يوم داك في مقطع كده انا لقيته قاعد يقول انا لقيت ناس بيعرف بياكل، انا ما لقيت ناس بيعرف بيشتغل. هو بدا ما عارف ما لقى ناس بيعرف بيشتغل. ليه لسه قاعدين؟ ما اشوف موضوع حقهم.
سؤال جميل.
ايوه ما اشوف موضوع بتاع الناس اللي بيعرفوا بياكلوا ده وما قاعد يشتغل، ده مع الناس اللي جايين وراهم. الناس اللي قاعدين وراه ده قال ما بيعرفوا بيشتغل لكن بيعرفوا بياكلوا. ما يحل الموضوع ده يا يمشي مع ناس وديل كله يا يصعد لنا بلد زي الناس.
يب.
ده صوتي انا داير اوصله كصوت امراه بتاع جنوب السودان. كان هم كلهم ساكتين، انا بمثل صوت ده كله. يوم داك في جوبا كارثه اللي كان حصل الفنانه اللي كان قتلوا ده بيد واحده لامه، بيد واحده. في ناس ما موجوعين. امه بيه قاعد يكورك وانا متاكد ده بده ما مات وراه حاجه في جنوب السودان، عشان هو قاعد يخلي اكثر شيء عن سلام، قاعد يتكلم عن خراب بتاع بلد. عشان كده عملوا سياسه وقتلوه، وانا متاكد بده ما مات ساكن. لكن ربنا هيعمل الشغل بتاع في جنوب السودان، هيعمل الشغل بتاع في جنوب السودان. والفقير دايره ولا ما دايره، كان هو دايره ولا ما دايره، ما يسقو يمشي طوالي. ما دايرينه، ما في حاجه كويسه. 10 سنه نحن تعبانين وقالوا عندنا رئيس ما بعرف بنطق انجليزي زي الناس ذاته، كان ودوه محل سزا فضيها بيمسكنا. دايرين زول متعلم يجي يمسك لنا بلدنا ده ويقدر يوصل لنا. فده كلامي انا داير اوصله يا جماعه. معلش انا كترت كلام لكن انا زهجان وممكن نتكلم ليه بكره، لكن انا بختصر عشان الزمن بقى ما في. فده صوتي انا، ما داير نقول شيء في الشارع.
رائع يا جوليا، شكرا جزيلا. انت فعلا صوت، صوت قوي جدا جدا، يعني عنده معنى، وصوت بينادي من اجل تغيير، من اجل حاجه كويس يحصل. بليز انا دايرك تكون سيف وما تخافي خالص، لانه نحن بنؤمن بتغيير الصح، تغيير اللي بيبني مدرسه، مستشفى، شارع، كله حاجات الكويس امن في البلد. ما عشان يدوك 5,000 ولا 10,000 ولا 20,000، حتى ولو ادوك $100,000 ما ينتهي بكره وانت تانا تيجي. لكن حاجات اللي انت بتعملها ده للبلد هيقعد لجيل وجيل. شكرا اختي جوليا، دائما يعني كلامك كلام مهم جدا جدا وكلام مؤثر. انا اشكرك، انت قدرت تسهري وتوصل صوتك في برنامجنا ان شاء الله. شكرا جزيلا. have a wonderful night. يعني مساء الخير ان شاء الله. شكرا اشكرك جوليا. So with that, I think I will bring Moses, and I hope my dear brother Moses, we want to wrap it up. I have a headache, I don't know, for some reason. So let's go ahead so we can wrap it up really quick. And then
thank you, Sir Jonkur. I am not going to talk much. I just want to refer to the Constitution, Chapter 2, the citizens' rights, page 14 of the Constitution. It says here, Article 45, subsection 1, every citizen born to a South Sudanese mother or a father shall have right to enjoy South Sudanese citizen and nationality. 2, citizenship is the basis of equal rights and duties for all South Sudanese. 3, every citizen shall enjoy all the rights granted by this Constitution. 4, the law shall regulate citizenship and naturalization. No naturalized citizen shall be deprived of his or her acquired citizenship except in accordance with the law. A South Sudanese, number 5, a South Sudanese national may acquire the nationality of other country. 6, a non-South Sudanese may acquire the nationality of South Sudan by naturalization as shall be prescribed by the law. So that is the right. Your right as a South Sudanese in the Constitution. I have the right to be Australian and South Sudanese at the same time. You have the right to be American or Canadian or Kenyans or Ugandans or from UK or from anywhere in the country, and the Constitution say you still have a right. You are a concerned citizen that can still talk about the national issues of the country. You have that right. So as I say, the citizens themselves are responsible citizens in my perspective. I believe in responsibility first as a citizen of South Sudan, then the rights first. So the people of South Sudan, they have done their duty as citizens. They have done their responsibility. They have fought, they have liberated the country with everything they have. That shows to me and to you that our citizens are responsible citizens. However, having said that, what is the problem? The problem is the government is an irresponsible government. The government does not respect the right of the citizens that are being articulated in this constitution of South Sudan. The only part of constitution that President Kiir likes, as our brother Emmanuel Ajaywin said once in his show with Edward Achek, is the only side that say that give him the right to make presidential decrees. The powers conferred upon me. That's the only side that President Kiir believes in the constitution, when he can sack people and when he can appoint people, like what he did to Nial Deng Nial. He has destroyed now Nial Deng Nial politically. Yanda waka shad of Wafa Khalas. Political death certificates has been given now to Nial Deng Nial, unless God make a miracles. And I know it is the work of General Akolkor. Akolkor has not done anything wrong to me personally, but I see he has power, too much power that is given to him by the law, the fake law that he has in the Blue House. He is abusing the power. Any power in any country that is not balanced and checked will be abused, whether you put it in the hand of a man or a woman. So any power must be checked. The power of Blue House is not being checked and balanced. That's why we come here and talk and say that you are citizen like anyone, General Akolkor. You know your titles, President Kiir or General Akolkor, a position and title does not make you a leader. You see? So we, the citizen of South Sudan, this is the message I can say. You can refer to the constitution, see your right. But even those who knows their right, like Luka Biong, do you think Dr. Luka Biong does not know his rights? He knows, like Deng did. But why were they kicked out of the country? Like those who ran, like Walding and so many. Because the more you know your rights, you will be the target. You will be kicked out from the country. President Kiir is happy. His regime is happy with the citizens who don't know their rights. You see? And this is where, because he has no political ground to stand on. You see? So the only political ground to stand on is to rely on these people in rural areas who don't even know their rights in the constitutions. Because this constitution has not been translated into Toknath or Jeng or Dinka and Nilotic languages, where majority are now, some of them are protecting the regime. So it is their right for that constitution even to be translated, and so they can understand their rights. If you cannot translate everything, translate the responsibilities. And as I said, our citizens have known the responsibilities before this constitution was written. So what we have to do, my fellow citizens of South Sudan, we don't need to give up. We have to go for popular uprising. We will sing it as a song. You may think that this is not going to happen. It will happen. It will happen. If it did not happen last year or this year, it will happen. It has worked in India, it has worked in South Africa, and it has worked in Egypt, and in so many countries in South America and around the world. Because the truth will always defeat the lies. We, the people, claiming our rights to be respected by a responsible government is not a crime. It is not a crime. If they were doing the right thing, we would not waste our time here to talk. We would even go and help them to develop the country, because it is one of the responsibility of a citizen to develop the country. But the government does not want people like Dr. Luka Biong and people like Pagan, people like Thomas Cirillo to contribute. They are kicked out. They are threatened to be rebels. So such a system is not the problem of the people. It is the problem of the government. That's why when people talk about a failed state, don't be surprised why they put South Sudan to be a failed state. because they did not manage the land well and the resources. There's mismanagement of the land and resources of South Sudan that will make you a failed state. Okay, you are not respecting the rights of the citizen. For the last 54 years, you just want the responsibilities. Citizens to pay tax without representation. Citizens have not chosen. They have not chosen their representatives. And they have not chosen even in the first place what kind of the political system they have to be governed with. So the people have not chosen what kind of government that we need in South Sudan. And they have not chosen their political representative. It is Kir that is executive, that is the judiciary, that is everything, the legislative, and is making presidential decrees to appoint the members of parliament that should represent the citizen, to be the voice of the people. So Kir is the whole government, plus his psychopaths, General Kolkora and others in Blue House. So this is what I can say. Popular uprising is our best option that we can, because we in the United Citizens, we believe in non-violence. Because non-violence is sustainable. It will bring sustainable and lasting peace. All that we need from a government, we citizens, we need peace and stability. Nobody is saying that we have to be given money. No government distribute money freely. Government has to make sure that there is peace and stability in the country. So far, for the last 15 years, this government has completely failed. So the whole state has failed. So the concept of a state is there in South Sudan as a theory, but in practice, we don't have a state. We have a failed state. I greet all the members and the concerned citizens who are listening. And thank you, Jonkor, and I thank all the speakers, especially my brother, Biel Rambang. Please bring him back again, and others who have spoken that I did not mention their name here. Thank you so much, and God bless South Sudan, and let's know our rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fight for our rights.
Yeah, thank you so much, my dear brother, Moses Edward, for really mentioning and, giving you perspective. Really, I really appreciate those who come and participated. On the top, General Biel Rambang, and also Ustaz Ding Mo, Ustaz Abdullah Garang, of course, Ustaz Walatak, and Ustaz Julia Paul, which is really always with a great courage to come in, and to give her perspective. The only solution, though, to the people of South Sudan, knowing you're right. I know that you know you're right, and there is no way to express yourself, for your right. لكن حكومة ده بتاعك، البلد بتاعك، أنت ما هربت عشان تيجي تكون في مهزلة، عشان حقوقك تكون مسلوبة، يسرقوا منك حاجاتك، لا. And that's why we need to speak out, we need to rile up. مفهوم إنه زمان كنا عايشين في confinement as a tribe، كل مجموعة بيكون عايش في المنطقة بتاعه، بس في المنطقة بتاعه، وعندهم سلطان، والسلطان بيفصل بين القضايا. لو في قضية اجتماعية سلطان بينادي ناس بيقعدوا يتشجروا ويحكموا. حتى النظام الجوري ده عندنا، نظام الجوري اللي شايفينه في امريكا وبريطانيا دي موجوده. ما السلطان يا بغرر ذاته بنفسه، لكن الجوري they will go and investigate the case، وبعد شويه يجي يقول يا اخي انت غلطان، انت معلم مجرجر ناس. So ده كان شغل بتاع السلطان. ففي الزمن ده الناس ما بيتوقع anything from سلطان. لو انت ما فاهم مفهوم الدوله، الناس ما بيتوقع اي حاجه من سلطان. هذا السلطان ده بيلقى دعم من شنو؟ من الناس، من الشعب، هم اللي بيتبرعوا بتشكن وبقرفانهم وبحاجات دي كلها عشان السلطان يكون قوي. السلطان يوم داك بيسندوه بدو عشان يكون عادل، لانه زول لما يكون ضعيف ما يكون فقير بيسرق، لكن السلطان زمان داك بيسندوه. فالدينكا ولا النوير ولا القبائل تانية في جنوب السودان كان فاهمين الكلام ده، انه السلطان بينصف بينهم. اما الان احنا في ظل الدوله نحن هاربنا من اجله. الدوله دي مسؤوليتها توفر الامن، اوكي، وتعمل مدرسه وتعمل شارع وتعمل مستشفى. دي مسؤوليات بتاعت الدولة، وانت لما تكون رئيس او تكون مسؤول في الدولة انت لن تنظر للناس دي، للشعب، ده شغل بتاعك. اما مواطن زي ما عبد الله كان قال قبل، رول بتاعه او مثلا دوره انه يحافظ، يحترم القانون، اوكي، ويشتغل ويعمل. ما مواطن ممكن ما يعينوك في دوله مثلا يعينوك دايركتور ولا وزير ولا حاجه كده، وده بنجيب ناس في هله اولاد خالك اولاد عمامك نسيبك، ويجي يقعد بس يجي يمشي بس في الوزاره يقعد يتونسوا. لا that's not a country. ده ما دوله، ده ما قهوه بتاعك بتاع الشاي. حتى القهوه بتاعك بتاع الشاي ذات زمن شغل لما تكون شغال they cannot come and hang out لان انت شغال you are serving the customer، انت ده الزباين بتاعك. لكن الان في عندنا في دوله بتاعنا بتلقى وزاره مليانه بالناس نسيبي وما اعرف ايه وده راجل بتي وما اعرف يجي يتونسوا شنو؟ انت شغال you are in the clock you get paid، انت شغال. نازل المفروض ما يجوا هناك، ولا حتى ولو انت زار لو قلت للنازل ما تجوني من الشغل ما من حقهم يزعلوا لان انا شغال، ده شغل انا شغال. انت ما تجيني تعالي في بيت هناك، لكن عشان تيجي تتونسوا. طيب انا 8 hours 8 ساعات انا بقدمه للمواطن ده وشغل انا بقدمه انا ما بقدر بعمله، وانت يا بتشجع الفوضى. عشان كده مفهوم الدوله ذات الناس ما فاهمه، الناس لا تفهم مفهوم الدوله، انه لما تكون في دوله انت شغال اوكي، دوله توفر الخدمات اللي احنا ذكرناها قبل، لكن انت الدور بتاعك كمواطن مثلا انت اشتغلت عينوك دايركتور كوميشنر وات ايفر، الناس ما يجي في المكتب بتاعك يتونسوا. ليش شنو يتونسوا؟ ما يتونسوا في بيت او امشوا لما تكون اجازه في ويكند امشي وين؟ امشي البحر امشي بتاع خليه يونس ده يونسوا لك خليه يجوا هناك، لكن ما يجوا في مكتب دوله. لا انت عندك شغل انت شغال يسي، وده الكلام الحاصل في بلدنا. ناس يجي يونس ساكت وناس قاعدين برا منتظرين الجاي يطلع جواز والجاي يعمل شنو، وناس قاعدين. لا 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 دي ما دوله، دي ما مفهوم الدوله. مفهوم الدوله انه خدمات اوكي، اعمل دور بتاعك وانا اعمل دور بتاعي، ده الدوله اوكي. لكن طبعا انتوا عارفين زي ما انا ذكرت قبل انه منعين ده is unpredictable guy، واي زول بفكر في كرسي اي زول اللي بيقول يا كير انت يا اخي ضيعتنا 16 سنه وبلد ماشي في جهيم وبلد ماشي في هيل كده يزح شويه كده، ده زول اللي بيكون عنده مشكله معه. ذكرنا لكم زمان انه كير داير يموت في السلطه، يا اثبت لكم الان اوكي. political incubator الحضنه السياسيه ماشي عمل نيغوشيت مع نيال دينيال بعد ما مشي لندن، مشي قال له يا اخي تعال البلد خرب، تعال احنا دايرينك عشان تكون كذا وكذا وكذا. شايف كير كان شايف الان اوت ده زول الناس قاعدين يفكروا فيه عشان يكون رئيس. نو 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 انا لازم نطرد الزول عشان الناس ما يفكروا، لانه هدفه انه يموت في السلطه وما يقدم لك سيرفيسز، ما يعمل مدرسه للجناك، ما يعمل مستشفى للجناك، ما يعمل امني، ما يكون في شارع، ما يكون في اي حاجه، هو بس يقعد بني بس بطاقته خلاص ده سيت. عشان كده منعين ويلوي كتير you know منعين is not gonna go away. لو انتوا جنوبيين سودانيين ما فكرتوا في الكلام ده، منعين is not going anywhere. we gotta work hard. ما في رشاوي you know. منعين ده شغل كتير، والشغل اللي بينفع مع منعين اللي uprising so he can go away because there is no any room here we are seeing that he will give it up. He wanted to die on it. Okay, so with that I really thank you South Sudanese all over coming and watching, but remember we got to get together, we got to unite. عشان منعين must go. It's the only way. So ما عملنا كده منعين is not going to go away, and he will keep doing what he has been doing for the last 16 years. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next week. With that, I will leave you with Imak. I know. I will play Imak for you. Thank you so much. Let me play Imak.
Imba kwa disco, imba kwa masketangaro, imba kwa kita, anayama mloya muyembalo, imba kwa chakeba, arikala salam, amelanga tukitinga rinne yalam, baby yo, already yalam, ayini anu bitini nakyala, nyatinu bar banduna ko, bangitu banyukino, kuyini ati bajal goltino, and bajal goltino, metinja yana electrify, ayana anda need badal, but you make me fantasize, ayana anda need badal, nyatinu bar banduna ko, bangitu banyukino, kuyini ati bajal goltino, and bajal goltino, alibala pinga, pinga dopina, tukagil way jumping ya singa, fine girl pinga, pinga legina, kongtit kongting da ka dopina, niya kinoma ku, inja tingu inja nyar, energy konlat, and keke nyar, enga inyen ma, enga in mama, enga in bibi, ini kanya, nyetin ba panduna ko, bangit ban yukino, ini ati bajal gotino, and bajal gotino, letting die in electrify, ini anyan badai, when you make me fantasize, ini anyan badai, nyetin ba panduna ko, bangit ban yukino, ini ati bajal gotino, and bajal gotino. Oh my God. Nalijato Jagamayo, Jagamayo, Nalijato Jagamayo, Kutukuno, Yana Willie Koda, I'm so in love. Oh my word, you can be none, dear, oh my word. You didn't buy Banduna, Bangi to Banyukino, Queen and Kid Bajal got to know, and Bajal got to know, met the guy in electrify. And young badai, well you make me fantasize. And young badai, and in the bar, Banduna Koma, from me to Banyukino, Queen and Kid Bajal got to know, and Bajal got to know. Oh my God, Nalijato, Jagamayo, Jagamayo, Nalijato, Jagamayo, Kutukuno, Yana Willino. Willie Koda, I'm so in love. Oh my word, you can be none, dear, oh my word. You didn't buy Banduna, Bangi to Banyukino, Queen and Kid Bajal got to know, and Bajal got to know, met the guy in electrify, and young badai, well you make me fantasize, and young badai, you didn't buy Banduna, from me to Banyukino, Queen and Kid Bajal got to know, and Bajal got to know, and Bajal got to know.